Yo, what's going on, people? Welcome to another episode of WrestlePurists Worldwide. I'm joined by Joe Hulbert and just a dude, Manny the Hooper. Um, and we're gonna do. It's been a slow news day, so it's not like there was a lot of topics that we haven't already talked about on this channel at some point in the past few days. So we're doing a different kind of episode. We're gonna do. We're gonna talk about the WrestlePurists Awards, the nominees. We're gonna look through them. We're going to talk about them. We're going to talk about who we think is going to win, why they were nominated, or why we think they were nominated, because of course it was, fan nominated nominees. So before anybody attacks me, just want to put that out there. These nominees were decided by simply asking our following who they think should be nominated and just going with who got the most nominations, simple as. So those are the nominees we've gone with, and we're going to go through them. But first of all, Joe Hulbert, how are you doing? You got a funny look on your face right now.
Well, I often do. I'm a funny guy, famously. It's Christmas, almost. This is our last show of the year, Monty. Did you know that? I didn't tell that you before the year.
I didn't know that until about 5 minutes ago.
Well, yeah, it's very exciting. Last show of the year. What a year it's been. This is apparently episode 10, which I don't necessarily believe, but I'll trust Monty's mathematics. I hope everyone is well. I was told this was actually an extensive, conclusive review of Revolution Pro's Uprising event that took place on Saturday night at York Hall. Obviously, I got the wrong notes. I assume Monty will share his star ratings at some point, perhaps not on this show. I don't know, but I'm good to answer your question, Monty. How are you?
Same old, recovered from COVID-19.
That's good.
So that's good, Done about 85% of my Christmas shopping. So we're getting there, nearly ready for Christmas. Yeah, it's been good, man. It's been good. Like I said, the recovery is the most important part. But,
Cody Rhodes is there again.
Almost ready for Christmas, man. Ready for
almost. Yep, good shit.
Yeah. Manny, cool as ever. Cash. How you doing? How's your day been?
It's been a day, just after a long weekend at work, very long weekend at work. And then before getting out, and then Friday or Thursday, buying some more masks, realizing I have an issue. And then from our good friend Tope let me know on Twitter. Yeah, then something bothered me on Saturday night that shouldn't have, but it bothered me.
Is it the Great O'Khan becoming the British champion?
No, it was after I got out of work. It was like midnight, and I'm just like waiting at a red light, and I see a lady on a bike with a basket full of groceries, and I was like, man, how does she get groceries at midnight? That bothered me, and then that bothered me when I woke up on Sunday because I was trying to figure out how she did it. And then Today's Monday.
How far into Sunday did that bother you?
Still bothers me now.
It still bothers you. That's interesting. Is that
the mind?
Is there like
the
a
mind
reason?
Of Manny the Hooper.
Is that the reason for the shades, or is that just sort of a?
No, I put them on. I lost them, and then I found them right now.
Best way not to lose them, wear them.
And after the show's over, I'm gonna go put them in my car.
Good stuff. A lot of stuff goes in that car, Manny, huh?
Oh yeah, a lot of stuff.
Yeah, a lot of stuff.
Stuff gets lost and found in there.
Yeah, like yesterday, I found my dog's collar in there. I said, "How did it get in here?"
Yeah, it's always an adventure. Oh, so was the answer that you're good, or what was the answer there? How are you today, Manny?
I guess I'm also perplexed. I don't know if I should go to AEW or not on Wednesday.
Yeah, I sensed that when I asked you what you were doing on Wednesday, and you went silent for about 15 seconds and sort of moved your head back and forth. I'm not sure Manny has an answer on this one yet, but I think you should go, man. Chat, what do you think? Manny's got to go on Wednesday, right?
That's the chat. The live chat will decide. Well, I'm sure the card will as well. But should Manny go to AEW Dynamite in Texas?
I didn't really want to go to Dynamite. I thought the card wasn't good until I think it was yesterday. Until Jamie tweeted that she's gonna have an All Japan women's match, and I said, "Oh, okay,
Yeah,
maybe
you
I
got
should
that.
go watch All Japan.
You got that. You got the trios, and you've got FTR Guns, right? Which I mean, I understand. You know, it is what it is, but it might be good. I don't know, man.
Someone threatened me that there might be a Ricky match, and I said, "Damn, okay." And then where do I draw the line?
It's a strong agenda, man.
Yeah,
You know,
it's a little much.
When you're just bringing him up out of nowhere. That's when.
Yeah.
Well, that's what somebody told me.
Was that a scoop? Ricky Starks going to wrestle on Wednesday, or are you just talking? It could be anyone.
I don't know. I might end up going.
I think you will. While we're on that, before we get to the awards, Monty, can you settle this between Manny and I? What did you make of the main event of Dynamite? Because Manny and I we watched it together and we were on different.
But Manny is, of course, he's got appearances to keep up. You know.
To be fair, I did see a few negative reviews. To be fair, I like the match a lot. To be clear, but I did see quite a few negative reviews. So
I went in with an open mind.
Well,
yeah,
sort of.
Yeah, this is what we did. This is what you're dealing with, Joe. You know, MJF versus Ricky Starks. I thought it was decent to good, not great.
Oh, you had the same opinion then. Manny was the same. He didn't say it sucked or anything.
It was a nice little, nice little first title match for MJF. Nothing I don't think we're going to talk about for you. Well, who knows? But
I think I was the high man.
I'd need to rewatch it. I need to rewatch it. I only watched it live, and you know when you're watching live, and there's you know he was streaming, so plenty of distractions. So.
Don't get me wrong, it was kind of clumsy at times, but that doesn't really bother me so much, you know. And they also had a couple of clunky moments. But I thought there was a lot of drama in that match, considering everyone kind of knew the result right going in. The live crowd was electric. I thought it had a genuine big fight feel. I really, really loved the match, but I have seen reviews across the board, so it's interesting.
I don't know. I just didn't feel like watching it, and I actually rewatched it the next day when I was on my way to Dallas. I don't know. I just didn't really like connecting me. It didn't really have like a. It didn't really feel like a AEW World Heavyweight Title match to me. The part that I did like about the match that still stands out to me is when MJF had him in that submission, and then Ricky had to like crawl out to That's about it.
Yeah, it is what it is, right? But I think with their style, it will always be an adjustment for parts of the audience anyway, right? Like even if they had their best possible match, their best match is different to like the best match of Moxley versus Takeshita or whatever you want to throw out there. Like it's just a particular style. It's not for everyone. It's definitely for me. They could do a better version of it, unquestioned. I mean, they had a couple clunky moments, as I said, but I liked it a lot. We'll see what Ricky does next. I assume based on TV, same with Jericho, so it'll be interesting. But nonetheless, Money.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. I do plan on actually rewatching it, so I'll give you an actual real opinion at some point in the next, 24, 48 hours. It's coming.
I'll hold you that way.
Hold me to it.
I thought I hated it. Come on, you can go.
Super chats. Bam. Hashtag rehire Monty. Carrying on law from last night when he turned on me. Bro, he turned on me. He cut me deep. Cut me deep, bro. Darren Walker, £2. Appreciate you. Happy you're better now, Monty, and happy Christmas to WrestlePurists teams. Thank you very much. Merry Christmas to you as well. Yeah, nice little start. Of course, like, subscribe, super chat if you're feeling generous. It's all appreciated. But yeah, let's get into this end of year awards, the nominees. Let's start hot. Let's start hot. Booker of the year. Let's jump right in. Let's go for it. Okay, so we have Tony Khan of AEW, Paul Levesque, Triple H of WWE, Rossi from Stardom, Gator from New Japan crept in, Sanshiro Takagi, I believe he is DDT. Yeah, DDT. So yeah, of course, WWE and AEW are probably always going to kind of fall into this category because Triple H has got a lot of good faith at the moment. AEW is, it's AEW. Tony Khan's always going to sneak in there. He's a good matchmaker. He gets a lot of stuff to happen. Forbidden Door was a huge success for him. And, there's been other highs and lows and whatnot, but he's in there. They're all in there. Rossi, of course, Stardom have had a great year again, like they have pretty much ever since the pandemic started. They've just keep growing. Gato, New Japan have had quite a.
Next year's a big year for them, I think. I think they did some steady stuff, but next year I think is the one to,
it's not like they didn't do too much horrible stuff, Then obviously Sanshira's target, DDT. I can't talk too much on that. Maybe someone in the chat is a bit more educated on that. But yeah, Joe, when I say Booker of the Year to you, what jumps to mind? Who jumps to mind? What are the reasons, etc.?
That's the challenge of this, right? Like, I'm not going to sit here and profess to be an expert on wrestling globally by any means, even though this show's called Worldwide, which granted is funny now that I think about it.
Well, you do. You live in the UK watching American wrestling.
Well, as you know, I was at Rev Pro as a reporter on Saturday, Manny. So be careful of that. But telling the guys about their finishes and stuff. Anyway, nonetheless, I would never be there all night.
How was Ishii? How was Ishii versus Ospreay?
Oh, it was fucking awesome. That goes without saying. There's a lot of good shit going on and some bad, but we'll leave that for another day. It's about when we're not on WrestlePurists. I think probably for the best. We need those ballots for the year-end awards, brother. Anyway, here's the thing. Based on the educated voices surrounding me in this space, it seems to me that Stardom's year is the most impressive in terms of like start to finish, leveling up in terms of like global popularity, to me anyway, from what I can gather. The issue with that is I've seen so little of it. I feel awful phony being like, yeah, Russell should win Booker of the Year. That's just the absolute. I can only be honest. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like that'd be really phony of me. I think, as much as we pick apart Tony Khan's booking, and we certainly do, and there's a lot of negatives to it, there's a lot of positives to it. In terms of his sheer hit rate on shows.
Oh shit!
There you go.
My bad. I didn't realize
me slightly, but in terms of just sheerly, purely, was this a good show that Tony Khan just booked? I think his percentage is very, very impressive. And there are very few shows he's put on, I think, A-level shows, pay-per-view shows, whatever you want to call it, where I think anyone could say objectively, oh, that sucked. You may be disappointed in things he does or how he does them, but generally, Tony Khan puts on good professional wrestling shows. And I think even with a lot of troubles and a lot of turbulence, he did that again very, very consistently in 2022. Even look at this back end here of the year, post-brawl out and all that business. They've still been prolific in terms of putting on really strong shows, where if you rated them week to week, you give it a 7, an 8, a 9, whatever it may be. To me, he's who I'm voting. Now, again, let me stress, folks, that's my ignorance in terms of the other promotions, so I apologize for that. But of what I've seen, I think he's still the obvious candidate, warts and all, flaws and all. I think he just is the right choice for me personally, but I don't know.
Manny, what you thinking? Booker of the Year?
I have a Tony Khan too. He's on a hell of a run right now when it comes to pay-per-views. I don't think.
Yeah.
I'm not like I said, I'm not a historian, so I can't go back and be like, oh, that so and so had this kind of year when it comes to pay-per-view booking and having great shows. So from what I know, from what I have seen of wrestling, I think Tony Khan's at another level right now with all the AEW pay-per-views and all the ROH ones he's at this year, because even his ROH pay-per-views have been, I think he's 4 for 4 right now, I think. And he's had like a match of the year contender on each one so far. So
yeah, he's 3 for 3 on Ring of Honor. He has the 4 usual papes and then Forbidden Door also, right? So
yeah,
you got 8 shows, pay-per-view shows across 2022, and the worst of them is still like a 7, 8 out of 10. Like, he's prolific on pay-per-view, man. And again, look, I understand the longer shows are not for everyone. That's been debated to death, obviously. But like, in terms of sheer quality, I don't think you can argue with him on that front. So I don't know, Monty, where do you stand on this?
Well, unlike Joe, scared of his ignorance. Ignorance is
You're
bliss.
proud of it.
You know, ignorance is bliss, bro. I'm going with Rossi. You know, honestly though, but I'm not gonna sit here and pretend that I'm Peps, Parker, Anna, and
Yeah, you're more
and
educated than I am.
you know, and I watch all the Stardom shows because I'm not gonna do that. But I do have a good idea of what's going on.
Yes.
Julia's rise towards eventually winning the red belt. Shuri's great year that she's had. Sei Kamatani's had a great year. Starlight Kid, and you see everybody raving and the perception and the fan service that they do as well. Like all the Stardom fans, like I know a lot of people think they're borderline stands. Some of them pretty much are stands and fan accounts and stuff. But if I'd say a higher percentage of the Stardom fans that I see and the fan perception over there is a lot more satisfied than in any of the other companies mentioned. And like I said, even though, like I said, ignorance is bliss, and I haven't watched every single show like I have more so with pretty much WWE and AEW. Like I said, that fan perception still means a lot, and I've watched enough to I know a good idea of what's going on over there. They've got, we'll get to it, but they've got 3 or 4 wrestlers for Women's Wrestler of the Year. Yeah, man, it's like every time there's a big pay-per-view, it's like they have a high rate, just like Tony Khan does with his AEW pay-per-views. It always feels like their pay-per-views feel big, except obviously they put on a lot of shows, but like when they do a big pay-per-view, it always feels like a big thing on the timeline. For me anyway, maybe I'll just follow a different group to my timeline isn't the same as everyone else's, but they do a lot of pay-per-views, a lot of output. When they try to go big, they're usually very successful with it. It seems like they're pushing the right people. Some of the new blood shows that they do, like with all the young talent, they're not like these big spectacle pay-per-views, but they're not meant to be, So yeah, I'm going with Rossi. I feel like I couldn't give it Tone in this show.
You
man.
couldn't.
He'll probably win it if I had to guess who, if I had to predict and guess who I think's going to win, because I haven't actually looked at the numbers. I want to surprise myself when we actually get to the end, because that's part of the pop, I do think Tony will win because, of course, like AEW, it's such a much bigger company that people watch and stuff like that. So. They're not with Triple H. It's like the WWE fans, of course, who they'll vote for him. They'll try to get him in there. But it's like half a year, and it's like he's steadied the ship, and they're not doing wrestle crap every week now, like late Vince era. But he's not exactly set the world on fire either just yet. So
it would be vote for him.
I'm going with Rossi, man.
I respect it. You're more educated than I am, so there's nothing wrong with that. But vote for whoever you want. I think a vote for Triple H is kind of crazy for this year. We'll see where we are in a year, right? We'll see what it looks like. It may be different. But this year, considering it's a limited part of the year, and the fact that, as you said, it's been solid, but it's, especially the last couple of months, I think it's kind of lost its way a little bit in terms of excitement. Maybe not in terms of logic, but in terms of excitement, I think it has. So he's made a nice start, relatively speaking, and next year is the big one where we can kind of look at, compare him to Tony Khan across a whole year. It will be interesting what kind of the vote will be telling here, I think, in terms of how far Stardom has extended its reach. Because, in all seriousness, the WrestlePurists account has got, it's way beyond even the bubble that's willing to watch a show like this or whatever. And we appreciate you guys, but we've seen that, right, Money? Like, if I said in here to the chat, who's your wrestler of the year, I would see it, a Moxley, Osprey, whoever. When Monty tweets it, I see a lot of Roman Reigns gifts and shit. It's a big account. So the Stardom vote will be telling in that regard to how much they've extended their reach across kind of the broader online wrestling fan. We'll see.
Yeah, they seem to be as a promotion, or even just outside of just Rossi himself. Because the talent that he's working with is amazing as well, so that helps. And the same with Tony Khan as well. Triple H, it's a shame that Vince cut half the roster before he got hold of it, but the roster's still strong. But the Stardom just keep going strength to strength, man. So I'm going with Rossi. I'm going with the Hat Man. And we got a couple of super chats. Jamie makes a good point. Good Jamie. Our head writer, £5 super chat. Appreciate him loads. Stardom do like 500 pay-per-views a year, and all of them are great. Jamie actually watches all 500 as well because he's a psychopath. But you know, he's rich. He can do it. You know.
Yeah. Well, it's that WrestlePurists pay. You know.
Yeah. Oh. You know, trying to look after him. Good kid.
Oh,
You know?
yeah, man.
Good work. He's the workhorse of this place. You know.
He's a hell of a hand.
No, he's tremendous. You know. Alexia 4.99 super chat. Just sending a heart, sending her love. Merry Christmas to Alexia. You know, one of the WrestlePurist divas. If you haven't watched the episode yesterday, go watch that. Bam, $5 super chat. Sorry, Monty. Apologizing for his betrayal. I guess I can forgive him. You know, sending the super chats. I can't. It's tough. You know.
Yeah.
To not accept the apology. Will they be podcast reading? Will they be podcast reading the winners of the awards? Will there be a podcast reading the winners of the awards? I think that's meant to say. Yeah, I think we might as well. We're doing this, so we kind of
there'll be something, right? Like we're gonna. At one point we had kind of a grand idea. We don't know how grand it will be in, but there will be something, you know, something of that equivalent where we're exploring, you know.
Yeah, we'll do some cool content with it. But like, even if we might do another show like this where we do a podcast and just kind of go through the winners. Darren Walker, £10 super chat, appreciate it. TK fumbled too many stars. Wardlow was over as a top babyface during MJF feud, now tailed off. Danielson doing great heel work, put him in a babyface group. Women's division booked badly too. I mean, there's goods and bads with Tony.
So,
you know what I mean?
I don't know. I mean, people were talking about Wardlow, like, you know, probably sinking after the feud with MJF. I mean, that was like a real talking point. And it kind of sucks that as soon as Wardlow is put with like bigger stars or bigger personalities, people want him to lose to the other personalities because that they were better. Like people wanted Hobbs to win because he was a lot cooler than Wardlow, and then Joe is just walking all over him right now. So
yeah, but that's booking. You know,
I mean, how's it booking?
You've got to know. Yeah, but you should know as a booker if you throw Wardlow out there with Samoa Joe, like this is what I'm trying to say. Like that's booking. Like
yeah, but I mean, if Tony Khan put him with like other personalities where Wardlow is more over than him, people wouldn't like that. So then when they put Wardlow with people as equal as over as him, and the other people just got more over than him, so.
It's just knowing your talent, strengths, and weaknesses, and knowing who should be meshing together with who at the right times and stuff.
How would you have mapped out his TNT title run, Monty? I'm intrigued.
I don't fucking know.
No, I see. Like seriously, it's interesting because it's like
I don't know. I'm not.
I do think I think it's more complex than it's given credit for. Something.
Yeah, it's definitely tough, but that's the thing. Like, if you're gonna do what you did with the MJF thing and have him at that point, it's like just having where he's out now. He's he did fumble it. So,
do you believe if they'd have stuck with the winning formula they had, where he was squashing guys weekly and doing the symphony and that stuff, do you think he would still be red hot, or did they have to change it and they've just picked the wrong lane to, you know, take? What do you think on that front?
I think because the angles no longer involved MJF, they were a lot less thought out, if that makes sense. A lot less prioritized. I mean, it didn't obviously. People like. Do you see the quote that Freddie Prinze Jr. said earlier? Like everyone talks about MJF's mind and stuff like that. You know, especially in hindsight now, when you look at Wardlow, MJF did a tremendous job with Wardlow in that feud. That, you know, it shows more and more each day. But even so, like I said, as a booker, it's just, you know, you gotta know his talent, strengths, and weaknesses. So
unquestionably,
yeah,
he hasn't been booked well. You're right.
Also, Danielson and Moxley. I wouldn't know if that was like a babyface act. It's just the fans turned him into a babyface act and everybody else, like everybody in the group, doesn't really goes with the flow besides Danielson. So I mean,
the one thing I was about Wardlow,
it's weird dynamic, you know.
It was tough. The one thing I was about Wardlow is, I think he has been badly booked. I think that is true. I also think there is a conversation worth having about when you strip back the MJF angle, what do you have in him as a top guy? Genuine question. What do you, when you look at him, you compare what he brings to the table to some of the other candidates, do you see him as a top guy? There's no wrong answer here. So, like, chat, feel free to get involved in this. Monty, Manny, where are you guys at? I don't love the promos, personally. He's capable physically of doing some really cool shit, right? But, like, that's different to having the kind of matches people expect of AEW title matches. Right or wrong, there is a style that this audience wants from their world title match. We just talked about MJF and Ricky being controversial in some ways. Wardlow winning with a powerbomb in 10 minutes was not necessarily, I don't think, what people want from world title main event after 4 hours of pay-per-view wrestling. So I think it's slightly like it's an interesting conversation. Now, let me be clear, I ain't dismissing what Wardlow can do. He's dynamic, especially in the ring. I mean, dude did the fucking Jeff Hardy move off the top in the pay-per-view match. So there's something there, but how high are you going on him? Like, this is the real key to the conversation to me. Anyway.
I think people would be really shocked if you put the roster together and you put him next to Wardlow. And you'd be like, oh, I want this guy to go over Wardlow, this guy. I think people would be more shocked. It's like, I don't know.
No, at the end of the day, you just gotta fucking do it, and you squashed MJF.
Well, I think
he's the world champion now. You know what I'm saying? So
you squashed him.
He destroyed him. You know, he destroyed.
Well, I think that wasn't the plan at first, but
yeah, when you went that far with it, you had to have something. The problem with it is, it feels like he should. It feels like as soon as Max came back, he should be going back in that direction in some ways, logically, right?
I just when I think to the MJF route, it's like, okay, this meant to be a award show. When I think back to the MJF feud, it's like what made that work. I really like the presentation of Wardlow coming out with all the security guards and chains and shit. Like, he looked like an animal. Do you know what I mean? And like now he's coming out in suits and just like, I don't know, man. He's too cool. Do you know what I mean? He's too, and I know that's too part of what. Yeah, like I need a rabid animal, and that's like
Samoa Joe's just an animal, man. I mean,
it's not even smart. I'm not even putting him next to Samoa Joe. I just mean in general, man. Even before this Samoa Joe feud started, when they were just doing War Joe or whatever. I just don't. He's not what's the word? He's not a big enough animal, He's too like.
You want it to be more Goldberg than Batista is what I'm getting from this. You don't see it be into because when Batista when he won the belt, he'd wear like he'd fucking dress up and shit, and he'd be like the cool guy. You don't seem to be into cool guy Wardlow.
Yeah, and I don't think the Goldberg run will work in AEW either. So,
well, that's the challenge. Like, and again, he's obviously capable of a lot more than that. But that is a real thing. Like, there's no way if he squashes Max and then you just go with him, right? Like he wins the belt next month or whatever the fuck. It would absolutely be like that inevitable resentment from the audience when the matches aren't exactly what they want them to be. It's just the challenge of booking a guy. Doesn't mean he's not up to it. It's that you've got him overdoing one thing. Now you have to transfer that into something more sustainable as a top guy. It isn't impossible. They just haven't figured it out yet, clearly. Like, and that's this next hurdle. He's got time. You know what I mean? It's not like it's life or death, but it's just interesting.
Yeah. Charlie, another WrestlePurist diva. Shout out her. Shout out to Worldwide for $4.49 super chat. Appreciate you loads as always. So let's get to the next award. Let's go for it. Show of the year. Let's do show of the year. We'll do show of the year. So the nominees for show of the year 2022 are Forbidden Door, WrestleMania Night 1. One sec, this isn't loading. Okay. Bear with me, folks. Forbidden Door, WrestleMania Night 1, Clash at the Castle, Full Gear, and Revolution.
It's Forbidden Door, not even close.
I think you're right. I will say I do think Revolution deserves like more. It doesn't get brought up enough in my view. Yeah, I think Revolution was
nominated.
No, but I mean, like, I often see the conversation, and when Full Gear happened, everyone was talking about was it better than Forbidden Door, and I didn't. Revolution to me is kind of, considering how great the lineup was, I think it's kind of weird how much it's like forgotten in this conversation. Again, as you said, it got nominated, so obviously people remember it, but I don't know.
Dave's ratings for Forbidden Door are disgusting.
They're insane. Yeah, I mean, it's a great show, but Dave went nuts on that show, man.
I think the only match that's under 3 stars, no, under 4 stars, is the women's match. It was like 3.5.
Yeah,
Every other match on there is like 4+.
Just fired up, man.
I do.
Just fired up.
One thing I like about Revolution, again, folks, I'm probably going to vote for Forbidden Door because, again, it was a great show. But the one thing I like about Revolution a lot too is it felt like this, and historically it will probably be remembered this way. It's like a really interesting line in the sand almost of like this sort of mix of AEW ideologies and philosophies coming together. Because there's, I mean, obviously Kenny's not around, which is unfortunate, but you had the big 4 matches were the title match, which while I don't necessarily agree when Dave says that Cole and Hangman drew the number because they went on last, it was there, right? You had Punk and MJF, which was kind of the storyline centerpiece with the dog collar. And you had Moxley and Bryan, Eddie and Chris were the singles matches. Young Bucks had the triple threat tag on that one, right? With Red Dragon and Jurassic Express. Yeah. But those 4 singles matches, I think, was a really interesting kind of moment in time in terms of like star power, a mix of eras, a mix of stories and stipulations, so on and so forth. I mean, that was probably the height of the roster that we often talk about of AEW being so sort of loaded. And look, the roster's still great, but it's obviously a different time now, right? With everything that went down. So I think that one will always be something that stands out on one. But nonetheless, I think Forbidden Door is just a pure, show top to bottom is probably the winner. Monty, where do you stand on this?
I don't know. That's why I haven't, I haven't put more votes in, They're all interesting to look at. Like, obviously, Forbidden Door, like even without looking at how great the matches were, you saw just what that is. It's an achievement, having all those stars from different companies on different shows and, living up to the name of the pay-per-view. But then, like, Clash at the Castle,
He only has that one big match, I think. Just the Sheamus and Walter match.
Clash was a good show. I don't think it was as good as these ones talking about, but you had the opening trios. The main event, I understand, was not for everyone. And then obviously the match you mentioned. I don't know what else
it's Gunther versus Sheamus.
It was a great spectacle, certainly, right? Great
atmosphere.
Atmosphere.
That's what I mean. It was great atmosphere, UK show, so many people there, etc. Who else did we have? Oh, there was there was that really heated Edge and Rey Mysterio tag match where Dominic turned.
That was good, yeah.
That was fun. Seth Rollins versus Riddle. They had a nice match. Roman Reigns versus Drew McIntyre had a really, really. I thought it was a good heavyweight world title match.
Yeah, I like it.
But again, I don't think it lives up to the rest of the nominees. To be honest, if I'm being brutally honest.
I also forgot Revolution also had the most iconic one of the iconic entrances of wrestling. I think with CM Punk's Missouri Contari. Just sucks that there was no barricade slapping, but you can't win them all. So
I think the dog collar decides how much you remember Revolution, and the main event of Clash is a big part of how you see that show. If you didn't like the main event, that show's probably like kind of nothing to you. But as someone who liked it, I remember that show fondly. It's not a show of the year,
good. Good show. I think the next one, if we're talking WWE match of the year, the next one, WrestleMania 38, Night 1. So on that, you had, I believe, Night 1 was Becky versus Bianca, Cody Rhodes' debut, and that main event is Stone Cold and Kevin Owens. So it's like that in itself is like
it's pretty fucking good,
Then of course on top of that it's Mania. There's so many people there, the production, etc. So I think if you're going with a WWE answer, that would be top of my WWE list, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like that Stone Cold Kevin Owens main event like just sends it over the top for me.
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah.
I don't watch WrestleMania.
This is kind of a cop out, but part of the problem with this is it's like they're doing such different things, these shows. Like Forbidden Door to WrestleMania Night 1 is like they're the same thing, but not really at all. It's like one of them with the pre-show is like 13 matches deep, probably. And they're all given like enough time to be like really good. And the other one is, I mean, the main event is a talk show segment that spills into a crazy brawl featuring the biggest star in the history of the business. It's like they're just different worlds, and they're trying to do different things. And part of what you mentioned with WrestleMania is the atmosphere and the spectacle and the production and the crowd. Like that shouldn't. I guess that should come into it. I don't know. How much do you rate? How much do you consider that part?
No, yeah, it's just show of the year. It's not what was
exactly.
the best card and star ratings of the year. It's the whole show and spectacle, and not even there is definitely spectacle and pomp and circumstance, the Forbidden Door, and that's one of the reasons why it's better than one of the other pay per views that AEW have done this year.
Like,
you know what I mean?
A good example would be remember Death Before Dishonor with the second FTR Briscoes. Roosh had the crazy match with Dragon Lee on that one, right? I'm pretty sure. Yeah. There was a few good matches on that show, and it's like it's almost completely forgotten because there was absolutely no bells and whistles to that show, right? It was just like it was a quiet crowd. There was wrestling on for 3 hours. Everyone moved on. That I do think that stuff's there. The question I'd have is, what were the other matches on night one of WrestleMania? And was there any like actual lows, or was it all just sort of steady outside of the big three?
From what I remember, it was really. I'll get up the whole card. I think that big three is where, that's where you're cooking. Cody Rhodes debut, Austin, and
that's crazy.
Becky and Bianca obviously had a
great match.
Yeah, so Charlotte Flair versus Ronda Rousey. From what I remember, that was actually really hard hitting it, Popman.
Wait, that was night one?
Started. No, yeah. Yeah, it was. Yeah, they've done both the women's talk. Yeah, they've done both women's talk. Yeah, but you threw me off, bro.
What was on night two?
Both women's matches on night two. Sasha Banks and Naomi. Yeah, the women's tag. Yeah.
Right, sorry, Monty, carry
on. So Charlotte Flair and Ronda Rousey had a match that wasn't horrible. That's an impressive feat. Oh, the Miz and Logan Paul defeated Rey Mysterio and Dominic Mysterio. So that was Logan Paul's debut, which many people remember very fondly. He was good, And there's Drew versus Corbin, which I guess you'd say is the, Drew versus Corbin went 8 minutes. Usos versus Shinsuke and Rick Boogs. That's when Rick Boogs gets hurt. So it doesn't start amazing, but it really picks up,
It's a very good show. Yeah, I think it's very hard to compare it to shows with the quality of the other ones that we mentioned, but it's certainly probably the best.
As like a match card and stuff, but as a spectacle, it's absolutely up there as like the show of the year because it's got fucking Austin on it, bro. Like,
Cody's debut.
What do you want? In Cody's debut,
that's a moment. Yeah.
It's
interesting.
Full Gear.
Full Gear was really good.
Full Gear, obviously the most recent. So Full Gear is very good, but I didn't feel like, oh my god, that's the best thing I've seen this year. But my AEW nomination would be Forbidden Door. So my AEW nomination would be Forbidden Door. WWE would be Mania Night 1. So it'd be a choice between those. And like Joe was saying earlier, it's hard to pick between those because they're so different in what they're trying to achieve. So
personally, I lean the AEW way because that's let's be honest. If you're watching this show, you're not surprised to know we're all fucking nerds and losers. So it's like that would be the way. But there is definitely an argument you could make for what WrestleMania was trying to be that is very impressive in its own way. And I actually, now that we've kind of talked about this more, I think it's actually, I understand why people would vote for it. There's some special stuff on that WrestleMania. So I get it. Absolutely.
Yeah, man.
I get it.
But yeah. Where do you sit with Full Gear?
Very good show. I'm with you. I enjoyed it thoroughly, but I never thought, oh my god, this is the best pay-per-view I've ever seen. I mean, it was a great pay-per-view. Part of that is not a knock on the show. It's just they have a very high standard. I'll say this for it. It felt more like it felt like a return to form for me personally from All Out 2021 and Double or Nothing 2020. Sorry, All Out 2022, Double or Nothing 2022, where I thought both of those were good shows, but I thought were not quite as strong for AEW's high standards. This kind of took me back to the Revolution or the Full Gear of last year, All Out of last year. So very, very good show. Wouldn't be my pick for AEW, but I mean, all three of the AEW shows are obviously tremendous. It goes without saying.
Manny, do you think Full Gear is like even in the conversation?
Yeah, I think it was the second best AEW pay-per-view of the year. Second best AEW pay-per-view of the year. So,
I think that's the
Okay.
consensus, honestly. It's interesting, but it was very, very good, unquestionably.
Yeah, after the pay-per-view, I thought AEW was back.
Do you not think that anymore?
Well,
Why not, Manny? Yeah.
Let's not get into it, man. He said.
Yeah, we got awards to talk about, big business.
Apparently.
Let's do the
Yeah,
next award.
we don't want to derail the whole show,
Yeah, we didn't do that with Wardlow for about 10 minutes. But hey. Okay, best non-wrestler of the year. Nominees are William Regal, Paul Heyman, Stokely Hathaway, Michael Cole, and Mark Sterling.
Mark
I
Sterling
think it'll
but
I think it ultimately will come down to Regal or Heyman, and I think that'll kind of be like a clash of the fandoms,
Wait, did you say Mark Sterling?
Yeah,
Mark Sterling.
That's good shit, man.
That's like that. It's like that clown gif, like the soldiers are against the wall and they have that one clown in the middle.
That's cruel, man.
He's good at what he does. It's just funny to him in that list. But it's look, let's be fair. I love Stokely, but it's not like he's had like this spectacular year. He's been putting some weird shit this year, right? It's been an interesting run. Okay, here's the deal with this. I think Regal is like the obvious winner. Not because Paulie's probably the best wrestling manager ever, but in this particular role, he's so limited and restricted to like a couple things that I think Regal's the pick. Regal was so entertaining every time he was on AEW TV. Here's my issue, concern. Do we think that Regal's recent shift in employer could affect his vote somewhat?
Oh no,
because
bro. Even the AEW fans will still vote for him because it was all in AEW, and it's like the people yeah, man, bro, the people that have like turned on Regal, like Manny and people like that, like, bro, that's very that's
Manny
very
is a media vote, Monty. It's very dangerous,
Yeah.
I'm putting it. I think Regal was the right winner personally.
Yeah, I think it'll be Regal. So like you said, like Heyman's very limited in this role, and it's like even with this year, like of course there was the Brock Lesnar Mania feud, and obviously he was like a central part of that. He took an F5 at SummerSlam, which was beast. But other than that, you know what I mean? Like Regal's been tremendous whenever he's been on commentary, whenever he's been in an angle, any chance he gets to speak, except for that last weird promo that he cut. But he's been tremendous from pretty much start to finish of the year. So new role for him next year, but this year I think he sweeps that one up. So I don't want to spend too much time on that one because it's so like I said, it ultimately does just pretty much come down to two. Like, kind of talk about the other Stokely. Everyone loves Stokely. He hasn't really had anything to like. I don't want to say he has had nothing to get his teeth into at all because he's literally like started his own faction.
Do you still have the Stokely clip?
Do I still have the Stokely clip? Yeah.
The worst crime you can commit is dick riding without a license.
That was a peak of his ear. That was a peak of his ear.
He's awesome. I hope that in a year we'll be saying that he's a Lockfist Award because he's capable of it.
He's absolutely. Great. That's literally the only reason why I want to bring him up. It's like he's not really in contention this year, but like he's definitely got the talent and he's good enough to get there. And if he's in position to do it and thrive next year, I'm sure he'll be right up there. So he's still got the nomination this year. So but with Mark Sterling, it's he's good at what he does and what he's meant to be, but what he's meant to be isn't really something that wins, manager of the year or whatever you want to call it. Michael Cole being in there is just fucking, after all these years, Joe, Michael Cole finally getting some fan appreciation. It's very funny to see. Good for him.
Good shit.
Yeah. Okay, so Rookie of the Year. No, this is an interesting one where I think when I speak to most people about it, it's like it's one of the most diverse answers that we get. Like people do tend to. It comes down to kind of like 3, maybe 4 people. Okay, so the nominees are Hook, Logan Paul, Bron Breakker, Takuma Fujiwara, and Tiffany Stratton. But all of them, I think all of them definitely deserve to be nominated. So we'll start with Hook. Yeah, man. We'll start with Hook. Hook, obviously, fans loved him before he ever wrestled a match. He's still over now. In ring, he has been immensely impressive. It's just a matter of, can we see that in more extended matches when he has stuff that he can really get going with, you know? But what he's shown so far, although it has been quite limited, he has been pretty tremendous, to be honest. So, yeah, Hook, obviously.
Well, this is one of those deals, just like we did with WrestleMania and Forbidden Door a minute ago, where it's like comparing two parties that try to do very different things, right? Bron Breakker is trying to be the ace of a much lesser brand, which limits a whole bunch of things and has its own challenges. But that also means he has the ability to have long world title matches on TV, right? Hook is obviously in a much different role, but that has made for some major moments and memorable moments in big buildings where places have exploded for Hook. I mean, it happened on Wednesday, for goodness sake. So there is an aura and a charisma to Hook that, needs to be kind of reiterated here. But I do find it hard to, personally, I find it hard to vote for him when he is, by design, to be clear, so restricted to a certain type of match.
I guess it's just how they. They're all still in their first year. Do you know what I mean? As a pro, so it's like, it's just how well they live up to that role, considering it's their rookie year. Do you know what I mean? So it's like Hook, he's delivered.
For sure.
Bron Breakker, it's it's a lot harder to deliver in that scenario. Do you know what I mean? I'm sure if Bron was just having like 8-minute squashes, he'd still be fine. But like when you're trying to be an ace and you're kind of being rammed down the throats of the NXT audience, which is the same every week, and he's had a couple scene a lot of reactions.
It's weird, yeah.
Then he'll win them over for a week, and then they'll be like, oh nah. Do you know what I mean? It's a weird audience. But I guess from like a critical aspect, I think Bron's been, he's a tremendous talent. Of course, but the fact that he can even be in the position he's been put into, and he hasn't like completely fell on his face, is a testament to he's literally in his rookie year, and like Joe said, he's been positioned as an ace of NXT, which is it's the much lesser brand compared to Raw and SmackDown, but he's on TV every week and. I said he's not stinking out the place. Like I've seen a few criticisms of him where it's like people have asked to like see like something truly elite from him and stuff, and it's like it's his first year. I think he's doing great. He's I think he's just a great talent. He's got the look.
Yeah.
He's got he can actually he can talk. He's not like a great promo, but he can talk. You know what I mean?
He has some intensity. I'm with you. He's been involved in some rough programming for really very little fault of his own, unfortunately. And that again goes back to the role he's in, right? I mean, he's had some tough feuds there.
He never really truly bounced back from the Gacy feud.
Right.
In terms of
his work is still tremendous. So I think it's hard to kind of I don't know.
He's an interesting one, especially because obviously this will be a fan vote. So it's perception, and perception is reality at the end of the day. So he's an interesting one to really pick apart. Another one, Manny, you got anything to add on Bron Breakker? I know you haven't really seen too much of him, but
I'm good.
You good, yeah?
Manny's changed his name, folks.
Oh no,
changed his name here on the stream, yeah.
Tiffany Stratton. He knows Paul. Logan Paul. He's only wrestled 3 matches, but the 3 matches he's wrestled, he's absolutely over-delivered in now. The Roman match being the cherry on top, going out there and having like a legit 4.5 star match in the main event of the pay-per-view with the biggest star in the game at the minute. He's like, even though it was designed in a way where he kind of just had to plug in his bits and pieces, but even those bits and pieces were very, he's great. He's had a great 3 match. It's not the best 3-match run I've seen from a rookie.
Oh, yeah. He's obviously very impressive. I don't know. It's hard to vote for him here, right?
Yeah,
it's not even nothing on it. If it's like, come on, he's had 3 matches. As great as he's done, as impressive as he's been, as much a natural as he is, it's very, very difficult to compare that to, like a guy who, again, has had to work Joe Gacy in front of fucking 100 people, and like he's actually out there. It's just different. He's been an incredible, guest wrestler, I guess would be the way to put it, and he had a really strong couple matches, but it feels like he's in a different category, just the way it is.
It's funny as well because I think he's probably the favourite to win it.
Wow.
If
Really?
if I was a bookies, if I was your bookie right now, I'd give you the shortest odds on Logan Paul winning. Like I said on the last award, bro, like perception is reality, man.
Yeah.
He's coming off that Roman Reigns match. So it's a good luck. We just
Unbelievable,
talked about Braun. Hook, Hook hasn't had a match like that Roman Reigns match. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Really as impressive as he is. I think a lot of people will get like, excited on that and kind of just throw the Logan Paul in there. What do you think, man? Have you been impressed by Logan Paul's short start in WWE? Is he a hooper?
After that Roman match, yeah, I haven't seen the match with. What are his other two matches?
The Miz, he got a 4-star match out the Miz.
I definitely didn't see that one.
He somehow got a 4-star match out the Miz in 2022, which might be his actual biggest achievement of the year.
That was at Mania, right?
SummerSlam.
Okay, I didn't see that.
He had a tag at Mania with Miz. So you only saw the last one, right?
Yeah.
It was very, very good. Yeah.
Thought he was in the wrong company.
Put
him in a New Japan dojo.
Okay. The last two. Could you imagine Logan Paul doing vlogs from the New Japan?
I can't.
Okay, so Takuma Fujiwara. Is he Dragon Gate or All Japan? I think he's Dragon Gate. Of those. Dragon Gate. I believe, Marth and Parker, who I've heard that name come up from. A few people have mentioned him. Of course, he got mentioned enough to get nominated. So, he's obviously doing great things.
I voted him.
Obviously, his nominee, I'd assume, would be very like work rate in ring heavy. Do you know what I mean? Being in one of those companies. So, yeah, Manny, tell me about him. Is he a hooper? I just.
How many highlights?
A lot.
You sure? A lot? You sure it's a lot?
It's intense research and money.
Like a couple-minute Twitter compilations, or are we talking like extensive?
Yeah, Twitter stuff. Uh-oh. Hey man, this is just a rookie stuff, I thought he was awesome in his stuff.
The way he said it with a smile on his face.
It's just rookie.
Trish was hurt. Braun's all right. Hook doesn't wrestle enough for me to vote for him, and then Logan, he only had 3 matches, so
process elimination, brother.
Yeah,
the final, the real nominee. And we'll get to Tiffany Stratton of NXT Women's Division. She is
the future.
She's one thing I will say is that at the start of the year, like she could absolutely be a nominee in Most Improved as well. Because like at the start of the year, there wasn't, like you saw kind of like she's clearly very athletic and she can kind of like, I'm sure she can learn how to do moves and stuff, but there aren't really much there. And obviously because the gimmick was so like, like corny and like very WWE, like gimmicky,
Yeah.
It made it very tough, but like as the year went on, you saw her getting better and better, and those athletic spots had more pop to them, and like she just became like a solid worker, Then like character stuff, like even though it's very gimmicky, she very much is like all in on that character, which is like I guess like it's not the best gimmick in the world, but if you're gonna do a gimmick, you want to see the talent go all in on it, and obviously the thing that hurts her, I think, the most is. Other than being on NXT, other than being on NXT, she got hurt, like Manny said earlier. Like she got hurt towards the end of the year. I think she's in the process of coming back now.
Yeah.
But she's been injured for like the past couple of months. But she's if you go back and look at her matches, it's like she's one of those where I'd say probably the most out of any of them. When you're looking at the in-ring work, it's like it's impressive when you keep in mind that it's a rookie in the first year. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, she's impressive. It's cool to see that she got a nomination. And when we brought the nominees, there was a lot of people in the chat mentioning her, which popped me. I'm obviously a big fan.
Yes.
She's one of the NXT talents from the 2.0 era that I think can be on TV for the next however long and not really fulfill the purpose of what NXT 2.0 was meant to be. So
she's a very real prospect. To be clear, folks, I chuckle when Tiffany Stratton is read out, not because she's not a worthy candidate, because my friend Monty's, I was alarmed by how he would frame this argument. He's thankfully played down the middle, which I appreciate. Tiffany Stratton is going to be a big time player for them, unquestionably. The biggest thing here is, as you said, it's all relative, right? And it's so, if you're comparing her directly to Braun, for a range of reasons, the match catalog is not going to be comparable, right? But
yeah, she's having lights out matches with Wendy Chu,
which was a good try, But like, I think there's still a lot to be excited about in terms of like the way she did commit to that character. She seems like the kind of heel that can just talk, and like that is something that's so valuable for where they do TV. Super athletic, right? Like there's kind of we've joked before about how there's like she's like a merge of like, she has sort of Charlotte's, like she has like some of Charlotte's kind of raw attributes in terms of physicality. Like when you watch her do stuff, she looks like natural in their brain fucking balls and stuff. But she kind of does the Alexa Mean Girl shtick a little bit, right? So like there's, what I'm getting at is if you merge Alexa and Charlotte in some way, they're probably going to end up with a product they want to use a lot on TV. Would be my clue. So she's going to be a real player. She deserves to be on the list. Unfortunately, probably not enough high end work to win it over I would pick Bron Breakker personally, but I'm glad she's here because she's definitely going to be a genuine star moving forward. And next year will be big for her. She's coming back to NXT TV soon. And I assume she'll get called up at some point. If not, she'll be the champ, I'd imagine, in NXT for a bit. So it'll be a big year for her, I'd imagine. We'll see.
Yeah, absolutely. Disappointed man he didn't vote for Tiff Strat, but
I'm kind of amazed he changed his name and he just announced he didn't vote for her.
But, right, so Andrew the Giant sent in a £5 super chat. Always appreciated. If Rookie of the Year was rookies to a bigger stage, I'd say the candidates would have been Roxanne Perez and Takeshita. Well, here's the thing, Andrew. Neither of those are, neither of them are rookies. Takeshita's like a 9-year pro, like so someone's pointed out in the chat. He's a 10-year pro according to the chat.
But he is a 1-year pro in the US.
To a bigger stage was the idea. Like the idea that they've kind of broke out on the world stage, I guess would be the idea.
That's it. If we'd done a breakout star of the year, then those two would most likely be in the running, And obviously even Roxanne, man, like even though she's only like 21 or however old she is, I don't believe she has her rookie year, so it's not her first year.
She won the belt, final battle last year, right? No, she won it at Death Before Dishonor last year. So
she's been around, and she was in Reality of Wrestling before that with Booker T, etc. So
she was an Impact.
Pop. So yeah.
Okay, what's up next, Monty?
What are we doing next? Let's do the most underrated wrestler of the year. This one's always interesting because it's super, but all of them are like subjective and relative to each person. But like this one is a lot. It can very, very easily slip into this is my fave and they're not pushed enough. Do you know what I mean? But I feel like we've got a nice list of nominees. We've got Chad Gable, Speedball Mike Bailey, Ludwig Kaiser, Emi Sakura, and Mustafa Ali.
Okay, before we do this, what is your read on this in terms of criteria? Is this underrated by the booker, which is often what the Observer is like most underutilized, or is it underrated in terms of fan opinion and perception? Both. Because to me, like Speedball,
putting our feet down on this one with both.
Because Speedball is not underrated by fans at all, is he? Really? I mean,
he's not. It's because he's lesser known. I guess it's like, do more people deserve to know about him? Should he have a contract? Do you know what I mean? Like he has an Impact contract. There's in Impact he had a short little run with the X Division title, and he had an hour match with Josh Alexander, but like, it never really felt like anyone thought he was going to win that match, even though they went 59 minutes. But hey,
like a good example would be if you take like Mustafa Ali, or Gable. It's like, I think the fans know how fucking good those guys are, or they believe they are anyway. But the booking is the argument there. I think the name that I like for both parts of the criteria is Ludwig Kaiser, who really seldom gets brought up in any conversations about the better guys that we have. Like, he always slips through the cracks and isn't but he's just a really nice addition to their TV show. And I think, I can't speak with confidence on how many times he gets an opportunity to have a great match. I saw the one he had with Ray, which I remember being very fond of, and we all watched that together in one of these StreamYards, right, at one point, Monty. So I can't speak too confidently on what his work has been in 2022, but I do think as an overall talent and package, I think he's probably the one that is most underutilized in terms of like relative booking. And then also, I think he kind of isn't brought up enough by fans. That would be my personal immediate response. But where do you fellas stand on this underrated business?
Where are you, man?
I went with Mike Bailey because I can't believe it. I just couldn't believe, like, I guess it was just like my interpretation of like the award for going by what Joe said and what Monty said, because I just went with Mike Bailey because I was like, I can't believe the way Impact is using him. Like, he should be so much higher than he is, and he gets like the people talking when he's on the Indies, and you would think that they would just use him a lot better or a lot more than they do on Impact. So
yeah, it's a common issue for Impact, unfortunately, right? Like, the kind of familiar faces on top, while the guys who have some buzz kind of stay underneath. It's like a thing they really
crazy,
struggle
bro.
with. Yeah.
It's like for a lot of this year, it was like a lot of people were ranting and raving about Josh Alexander and Speedball being these great, like, best in the world category wrestlers, and you had Moose doing fucking Reign of Terror, bro. Like, I know they were doing a storyline with Alexander for it to be the payoff, but it's just like, fuck.
It's so crazy when Mike Bailey's in Wrestler of the Year talking. It's not because of any of his work in Impact. It's all because of his stuff on the Indies.
Yeah, I don't know that there's no way it says. I mean, I think very highly of Eddie Edwards and who he has been as a wrestler for the last 15 years. But I do struggle personally with, like, our main event heels should be Eddie Edwards and previously Eric Young, when you have fresh guys that seem to have a chance to, like, get new attention. I just struggle with that. It isn't a reflection of those two fellas. It's just the reality of kind of the way the industry evolves. Like, they can still go, but when you say to someone, you need to check out Impact, man, they're killing it. Okay, what's their next big match? Their biggest show of the year is main evented by Josh Alexander versus Eric Young, or Josh Alexander versus Eddie Edwards. It's like, unfortunately, that is going to come with a certain connotation. It just is.
With Impact as well, it's like, when he talks about, like, I can't believe how Speedball's been booked in, so we was just saying, like, he had a little run with the X Division title, so that's it, really. And it's like, with all the hype and that he's got, he's had more hype than, like, Impact has as a promotion for a majority of the year. Do you know what I mean? It's crazy. So, then when they do something where, you know how you just said, like, when someone asks, like, what's their next big match? It's like, bro, they've done Josh Alexander versus Speedball in a 59-minute match, and they just threw it away as like an open challenge sort of thing. And it's like, if they would have done an Iron Man match, 60-minute, headlining a big pay-per-view with some build, you know what I mean? That's something I feel like could get a few outside of eyes on it. Alexander versus Bailey in an Iron Man match. That's something people would be interested in, but when you just throw it out there on a random Impact.
Unfortunately, go ahead, Manny.
No, I say the craziest thing Impact has done this year is, I mean, there's a lot they've done, but what stood out to me is them having Mike Bailey lose Frankie Kazarian after the reign he was having, just so Frankie could just turn it in, do the option C for it. So he didn't even defend the title. They could have just had an open challenge. So they just ruined Mike Bailey's reign just so Frankie can have a match with Alexander.
I just not use him and just underrated, and I just don't think Impact. It's like, even when he won the X Division title, it didn't feel like it was like, this is about to be the start of like this epic X Division work rate reign. Do you know what I mean? It just felt like this is just kind of the next X Division guy after, was it like Trey Miguel or whoever it was? You know, I think Emi Sakura, like, you know, she's so good, so experienced, so you can put a win there with like pretty much anyone, and she'll kind of
Yeah.
be able to work something out. And it's like she's not allowed on TV, you know.
It's
So
bizarre.
she absolutely deserves to be nominated. I think she's brilliant. It wouldn't surprise me if she got quite a lot of votes, to be honest. Mustafa Ali, underrated is kind of like a connotation that's kind of followed him forever, you know. He's you know, I'm not out of these, he'd probably be the last I'd vote for, honestly.
He
But
wouldn't
you know, he, like I said, underrated is something that has definitely been like something that has kind of like followed, something that you hear with his name a lot throughout a lot of the past few years. So, you know, kind of one of those guys kind of like lost in WWE mid card for a lot of it. So it seems like they're trying to do something with him now. So I guess we'll see what 2023 has in store for him.
For sure.
If I had to say a favourite for this one, I'll probably go with Gable.
Yeah.
Well, is Gable really underrated? He's like on TV all the time and he's having good matches.
Loses a lot though.
Yeah, he loses basically all of them, you know. Gable is so good where he's very much like a I don't want to say like Cesaro because he loses so much more than Cesaro did, you know.
Yeah, pretty fair though.
Gable is like he's just like kind of like the TV heel with Otis, you know. It works for a weekly TV show. It's at the same time he's so good in ring that people rightly think that maybe you could do like a push with him or whatever. But you know,
are you saying he's WWE's equivalent to AEW's QT Marshall?
I don't think that was what you're saying.
No, you know, I like me a bit of QT.
Very different, yeah. QT's great, but very
QT, great pro. Let me tell you. Right, next on, we've got about 30 minutes left to blast through 6 awards, so that's 5 minutes on each. I think we can do it. Best on promos: Jay White, MJF, CM Punk, John Moxley, and Eddie Kingston. Manny, go straight to you. Who jumps to mind first?
John
Who
Moxley.
did you vote for? There we go.
Yeah.
Mox, what's your favorite Mox promo of the year, man? I know
the one where the one where he told us AEW was gonna be okay.
God bless. You know, it was a great. Yeah, it is a great promo. I like Mox as an answer. What about Joe? What about you? Where do you stand on this, Joe?
Yeah, I actually think I'm pretty firm on it being Mox. A couple of the other guys in the other candidates I actually prefer as promos, like generally, but for this year, I think Moxie's the right choice because he's been obviously there's a couple misses. I'm sure if you go for every promo, I know he's one.
This is another big one as well for him. Yeah, the rehab return promo.
I just think he's been the most consistent candidate for that award personally, by far actually on that list. That obviously some of the guys weren't around for the whole year, which is part of it, but he's my pick.
I would have gone with Punk, but I mean, like Punk would have been gone half the.
You're all cowards. You're all cowards, man. I'm going with Punk, bro.
This is a year award.
Yeah, do you not think that hurts your case though?
No, Mox has cut a lot of promos where it's just kind of been like, okay, this is a Mox promo where he says Mox shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Every CM Punk promo, like, call me a Mark, call me whatever, bro. I don't give a shit. Punk on that stick, he's fucking, come on, mate. It's gold, you know?
Do you know what I think, though, that...
He's missed a lot of the year, but his highs are just, he's just...
The Hangman feud... I'm trying to think
that is fair, but like...
He had a great one.
That was a weird feud. He wasn't even that long, though.
He had a great one to start it, the one when he was circling the ring, and I don't know, man.
That was good.
I think the best
saying I love Punk, but I don't know. I think that's
the MJF stuff, the Ace Steel promo, just that's enough for me right there, mate.
I think the best Punk promo is after MJF throws him over the ring and he's choking him with the dog collar, then he's in the back sitting, and I think the video is like black and white, and he's just like doing the Monsters Among Men promo. He's like punching himself in the head.
Look, man, no arguments for me in terms of CM Punk being fucking awesome. To me, it's like he missed, what are we looking at, June to August, right? And then he missed September through to the end of the year. It's kind of
I don't care, man.
I don't know, man. I think CM Punk's fucking awesome, but I think that's pretty tough. Personally.
The press scrum, you know. I'm throwing the scrum in there.
Well, okay, that explains me. I understand
built
now.
some
Right.
heat. People want to see that match now.
Yeah, I got you.
That was an all-time line. They've been trying to kill me since the day I was born.
It's incredible promo. Incredible promo. It's just different.
Unreal.
I don't know.
This is what I'm saying. Like with Punk, that feeling. Gets real wrestler. Yeah. So Jay White obviously is a great promo. He's always like so comfortable doing those like post-match promos and going backstage and doing like the sit-down ones and stuff like that. He's so like such a great natural talker. Really knows his character and who he's meant to be. Jay White's tremendous. Like he is.
Yeah.
Like, he just is. I just think for what we watch, obviously mainly, we're so Americanized over here.
It's a different format, to be fair, right? Like,
well, I mean, the Jay White just
really
Jay White
good,
cuts the same promos.
Look, Jay White's fucking awesome, but you're not going to look, Monty. There's no point pretending we're not voting him over Moxley or Punk in promo. I mean, he's great, but it's a different kind. I mean, he had some good ones in Impact. I know he has the press conference stuff, but the rest of his promos are him closing strong tapings and doing the switchblade, breathing the whatever the fuck. I mean, he's great. He's awesome, but this is hard. I mean,
it is what it is.
He's
I don't know.
promos.
The last time I saw like Jay White actually have like a crazy promo where he had people talking was 2 years ago when he lost at the Wrestle Kingdom, and he was just like everybody thought he was leaving New Japan.
That was a great promo.
I mean that was all time, but since then he hasn't had anything.
He had a great one. I just can't remember. He had a great post match one. I can't remember.
Yeah, it was when Carl Anderson and all them came back, right?
Oh. He's great. There's no arguments. It's just, he's what it is.
I don't remember. Yeah, Jay White's great. He's what he is. Last nominee is Eddie Kingston. We all love Eddie Kingston here. Eddie's the man, bro. But it's just that, he's hardly on TV anymore. So, what do you want to do? Yeah.
I love Eddie. And I'd say this for anyone he's literally fucking sitting behind me right now on that photo. But he's probably my favorite wrestler ever in all seriousness. But I think promo-wise, I think the Jericho thing kind of had him going in circles a little bit. And he cut some great ones, even in that form. But I did think he got to a point where, unfortunately, his content, and he's great at that usually. So it is what it is. He still was a great promo. You're just comparing him to the top guys. In this particular category, it's hard. He still had a great year, even with this kind of dip at the end of it. I thought in the kind of the middle of the year, he just was kind of going in circles a little bit with that particular program. And that's just shit happens. It is what it is. So I don't think he's my pick this year. He's been my pick previously. He'll probably be my pick again at some point, but I wouldn't pick him this year personally.
Yeah, it's tough.
A little spoiler. I'm working on a trade fantasy trade deadline feature, and Jay White is number one on the draft board. Trade board.
Yeah. So MJF, I think he's going to be who eventually wins this. People eat those promos up, man. People think MJF is, the next best thing to ever touch a microphone in wrestling. So I just think that's the way the vote's going to go, to be honest. Even though I personally thought, I think to be promo of the year, you can't miss at the rate he does sometimes. You know what I mean?
And he's only going to win it because he gets so many tries at promos that But the thing is, when he misses really bad. But then when he hits, people are talking about the So
he's tough. Well, he can be so phenomenal when sometimes even the I thought even the promo this week before
it's very long. It's very long.
Yeah, the one this week before the Starks match, bro. It's just on and on and on. Then the Regal one went 17 minutes or however fucking long he was out there waffling for. It's just
another thing too is
tough, man.
Another thing with MJF, once he hits something, like he hits you with like a little nickname, he just goes on with that nickname
forces
forever.
It through, bro. Jericho-esque. Forces it through. Like that shit with that pebble shit with Starks, bro. Didn't hit, mate. Sorry.
Yeah. I think he's probably gonna win it as well.
So MJF's probably gonna win it, even though we just sat here and, broken
He's
now.
no showy promo. It's part of his persona that he's a good shit talker. It's different. Like, I don't know. I get it.
Absolutely.
I wouldn't pick him. Obviously, he should be nominated. He's still cut some really good ones, but he's still cut some really good ones. But yeah, I wouldn't pick him personally.
Yeah. Match of the year. Now we're cooking. Now we are cooking. Okay, so we have FTR versus Briscoes 1, Cody Rhodes versus Seth Rollins, Hell in a Cell, CM Punk versus MJF, dog collar match, Gunther versus Sheamus, Will Ospreay versus Kazuchika Okada, G1 final, FTR versus Briscoes 3, double dog collar match. What immediately jumps to mind for you, Joe, for match of the year?
I reviewed the tape.
All right.
I'm taking FTR Briscoes 1.
Okay.
I've watched them both alongside each other enough to feel confident in my personal pick. They're both masterpieces, but I got 1 over 3 personally. I've said it before on this show. It's probably my favorite wrestling match ever. I'll never ever forget the excitement I felt when they played those little pre-tapes and the crowd exploded because it was the match they actually went to see.
Yeah.
And FTR Briscoes is literally like
change, man.
right next to it, bro. But I just thought, like, I thought that first one was like magical. It just, I've seen it so many times. It's wonderful. So that's my pick. Obviously, all the matches are great, guys. About saying there are a couple left out. Like the chat's bringing up a couple. Anarchy in the Arena would be probably my third pick.
Anarchy in the Arena genuinely like in the conversation for my personal favorite match of the year. And when I put it in the picture for the nominees tweet, and you'd be. Well, obviously, it didn't make the nominees list, which surprised me. Then also on top of that, there was people like Anarchy in the Arena. That was a mess. So there is actually like a small bubble of people who think that was just like a chaotic shit show, which is why a lot of us loved it. But some people like look at things through different lenses and stuff. So yeah, no Anarchy in the Arena, unfortunately. But I think we've still got a nice list.
Sure.
So yeah, you're going with 1 over 3, Joe. What about you, man?
I'm going with number 3, but
fair.
I think we added 3 late to the ballot, and I think most of the people. I think people are. I don't think it's gonna win because how late it got put on with the fan vote. Wait, is this? Is there another fan vote?
Recency bias is a real thing, but at the same time, I was like AO brought it up. I think it was like last Thursday because of course he did, but AO brought up like the recency bias thing in it, so that is a very legit thing to bring it up. But I think the reaction to it in terms of people calling it match of the year contender, the response we had when we put the tweet out and stuff like that, I just felt comfortable enough. Feeling like that was definitely one of the best matches of the year, especially obviously with some more personal taste came into it as well to make that decision. But I think it's worthy, absolutely worthy. It's funny how like you two both picked the 2 different FTR Briscoes matches. I'm undecided on which one I think's better still to this point because like FTR Briscoes 1 when I first watched it, when I first watched FTR Briscoes 1, I was like, oh my god, this is the best thing I've ever seen. So like in that sort of framework. Then I was like, hold on, let me calm down before like have match with take. Because my first take when I first left that was like, this is the greatest tag team match I've seen on American soil. Easy, Then I thought, hold on, let me chill out on that. But look, as time went past and I watched it a few more times, that take just kind of got stronger,
You did the same thing Dave did after he watched the Young Bucks versus the Kenny and Hangman, said this is the greatest tag match that ever happened on U.S. soil. And he tried to come up with names or matches and he couldn't. He said, yeah, this is it. This is it.
Yeah. Then they had the third match, and now it's like, I don't know if was it better than the first one. Like I'd have to do what Joe did. I'd have to go back and review the tape, watch them one after another. I'll watch it. I think that's what I might do on Christmas. When I've got a couple hours to myself, watch the trilogy.
That's good.
I might watch the trilogy.
The third one makes, obviously with the stipulation, makes a very clear and direct stylistic choice, commits to it, and gives you that exact thing in the most gory, wonderful way possible. the reason I would lean to the first one while they're both perfection is the first one is like this complete picture, right? Like there's everything. First one mixes all sorts of styles. It's like a thriller. It goes long though. It has this great sense of drama to it. So they're all, they're both perfect choices for me, and they're both magnificent matches. They're my top two, but I'd personally lean one for that reason. But I mean, both great.
It also doesn't help that I was there. It also helps that I was there for the three.
Yeah,
so,
of course, that's always because you really felt the atmosphere that we. Like me and Joe loved the atmosphere just watching it. You was in it, you know what I mean? You was in the thick of it. So
very jealous.
we got a super
also
chat, Darren. Just hold that thought, man. £5 super chat. FTR versus Briscoes, but also add Becky versus Bianca should be on the list. Best women's match of the year at WrestleMania and SummerSlam. A lot of people have said we haven't added a women's match to the list, and like I get how that looks, but people didn't vote on there. Becky versus. I did go back and review the stats, and if a woman's match would have made it, it would have been Becky versus Bianca
from Mania, right?
Yeah, of course. There was a few Joshi matches mentioned, but none of them were like anywhere near like the nominee, sort of limit or whatever you want to call it. But yeah, Becky versus Bianca, from the reaction we got to our tweets, would probably be the best women's match of the year. So yeah.
I also want to note that if FTR and the Briscoes either won 1 or 3 wins, this is going to be the third consecutive year that AW wins a match of the year on any major. No, I'm just saying because I think it's going to win the Observer and it's going to win all that too. But it's going to be crazy because nobody votes like an AEW singles match for like a match of the year. Like it wins the award. It's always a tag match. I think the first one it was Young Bucks and Kenny and Hangman. The second one was the Young Bucks and the Lucha Bros cage match, and then this year might be FTR and the Briscoes.
Tag wrestling fucking rules.
Yeah,
when done right, I ain't like. To me personally, there is nothing that beats like that part of the genre's maximum is like the best thing in wrestling. It's electric, man. It's fucking awesome.
Yeah, so it's like
today,
like
today, I woke up and I saw Pep's tweet about a match from Just Tap Out or Michinoku. I think it was Tap Out, and it was Minoru Suzuki and Doki versus Hanma and Jun Kasai. Bro, that tag match was phenomenal.
Yeah,
easily the second best tag match I've seen this year. And man, like nothing beats a great tag match.
And there are like story beats that are like ingrained in tag team wrestling too. It's magic. I love it.
It's good stuff. The other nominees for match of the year are Cody Rhodes, Seth Rollins, Hell in a Cell. That's so unique, it's a match that I think if anyone watched it live, they'll never forget how they felt watching it at first, like what is happening right now. The way that when Cody first revealed his injury, the crowd genuinely was stunned into silence, which is something like, he definitely wasn't a non-reaction. It was like a stunned into silence thing. It was very unique, and it was just a very huge achievement, especially on Cody's part. And I think people overlook Seth Rollins' like contributions to that match as well.
Sure.
He was great. He played his part, but obviously the story in that match is completely all around Cody.
It also helps that because that match is like, as you said, it's unique, right? Like there's a lot. It helps that they proved before that they could have like a great traditional match. Because it means you can't possibly dismiss it as just, that was the thing with this, it's whatever, it's the injury. Like the match at Backlash they had was fucking awesome. It was like that was a genuinely great wrestling match. So that helps too because you can't dismiss it as just a novelty, like it was sort of an outlier. They had a hell of a series, and that was the one that will be remembered forever because, of course, as you said, it was very, very unique. Yeah.
Yeah. Then obviously we got the other dog collar match, which is CM Punk versus MJF. Very heated, great storytelling. Obviously, the Wardlow time. This was just a really great spectacle. Obviously, it was bloody because dog collar match. It definitely lived up to the dog collar rep, in that sense. It was really great. Absolutely deserves to be on this list. Anything anyone wants to add real quick?
I loved that match. I'm surprised it made it personally because I saw there was a lot of disagreements on it. I loved it, so I have no issue with being there. But I was actually surprised it made the cut personally. Manny, where did you stand on the dog collar match for Punk and MJF?
I thought it was the best match on Revolution.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just think that dog collar match is just AEW specialty now, and they're just like a hit. Like you look on this list, we have 2 dog collar matches from AEW this year, and that's just their match, and they're gonna be remembered. And another thing that's helping the Punk and MJF is they have the nostalgia for the Ring of Honor theme.
Yep.
It's bloody. Punk is in his Ring of Honor gear, and the way, and we also have the music controversy too.
Yeah,
it was awesome. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. We've got Will Ospreay versus Okada G1 final. I think this was from technically this was like the best match. Like the level of execution that these 2 guys can pull off when they get together is like absurd. Probably they told a great story as well with Will Ospreay. It was kind of like Will Ospreay's coming. It was weird because it was like Will Ospreay's journey to that point, but he still failed to beat Okada. He was they definitely did tell a story. It wasn't just like moves and stuff,
Right.
But it was it definitely deserves to be on this list. It wouldn't surprise me if it done very well on the vote as well, to be honest. Because like I said, the level of execution is like unbelievable between 2 of arguably the best wrestlers of the generation. So
that match also turned Ospreay babyface.
Yeah, that's the part I think you remember is this kind of the way the end of the G1 became this sort of they embraced the audience's like increasing respect for him as a wrestler, right? And they kind of leaned into that. And, it was great, absolutely. But it didn't, for me personally, this isn't a knock on the match. My lack of investment meant it didn't move me the way some of these other ones did. That doesn't mean the match didn't move other people. I know it did. I know Manny watched it and said it was the best wrestling match he'd ever seen that day. Remember that? That's your initial reaction to it. So I get it, man.
It was. I broke my scale for it. Went like 6, and then I instantly regretted it because then it was like I don't think it gets in my top 5 match of the year.
Yeah. It will get a lot of love. Though. Like it was obviously very, very special. So
it
will get some love.
Finally,
it also won Tokyo Sports to the Tokyo Sports Match of the Year.
Yeah, of course it did. Gunther versus Sheamus, Clash at the Castle. 2 big guys fucking smacking the shit out of each other for an intercontinental title in front of 60,000 Brits. It was definitely a very good time. I think it was when we saw the match get announced, everyone got instantly excited, and I think it genuinely over-delivered. Gunther's been amazing this year. Sheamus is like one of the most consistent workers fucking probably in the history of that company. This was epic, I think he got the full 5 off Dave.
Manny, what did you give this one?
Oh, 3.5.
3.5.
It wasn't violent enough or whatever it is you said.
Like physicality, I think was one of the phrases.
Well, I gave before this I watched Gunther versus Ricochet.
Yeah.
I gave that 3 3/4.
Before this show, you mean?
Yeah, before the show.
Oh, I think you meant before that one. I thought that match fucking ruled. It also has the element of like it being the kind of wrestling audience collectively giving Sheamus his flowers for being this like incredibly consistent hard hitter on TV and almost always not getting love for it because booking or positioning or whatever. That was a really cool moment to see him get that adulation and that kind of respect from the crowd. He certainly has earned it. So. Very cool match, definitely.
Yeah. Best in ring. What was that?
I was gonna say go out of your way to go watch Sheamus match. Yeah, Sheamus and Gunther match.
Yeah, of course. Best in ring work of the year.
Huh?
Best in ring worker of the year. Jon Moxley, Gunther, Seth Rollins, Will Ospreay, and Dax the Axe Harwood.
Yes. Monty, can you explain the things that should be taken into account for the rest of the year before we talk about the in-ring, please? Because this is important.
Rest of the year is like a full package thing, big star, world title, I guess world title wins kind of comes into it if it's something that's over. Do you know what I mean? How over the person is. The matches comes into it a bit. You know, you can't be the best wrestler in the world if you're having dog shit matches. You know.
Just like
it's an overall full package, everything. Best in ring work, of course, self-explanatory. It's just on the in ring, in the road, bell to bell work. You know.
So, in terms of compiling matches that are highly rated, and rightly so, I'm not saying they shouldn't be. I think Ospreay is the obvious pick here, right? However, 100%. This is where the Dax the Axe agenda gets unrolled, gets going.
Oh, here we go.
I can only be honest with my own personal experiences of wrestling in 2022. And if you would say to me, Joe, what are your top 10 favorite matches of the year? I would say there are at least 4 FTR tags, probably 5, to be totally honest here. Favorite matches, let's be clear here, folks. 5 of 10. Now, you could say that's only tag teams, so,
Yeah.
But I think when you look at his singles matches in addition to that, then you add on the one he had with Jay Lethal, the one he had with Adam Cole, the one he had with Cash, the one that, the one with Punk, the one with Claudio, the one with Brian. I personally think he has been the wrestler I've enjoyed watching wrestle the most in 2022 by a distance. So for me, I would be lying to myself if I didn't vote for him in this category. Now, the other category, I think it's different because that is, that, as you said, that's more of a complete package thing, right? And that's not really necessarily what Dax is positioned to do, nor what he should be doing anyway. So that's a different thing. But for this one, personally, I can't pretend I'm not voting for Dax Harwood because I'm definitely voting for Dax Harwood.
I will say, out of all the people on the list, Dax does have that. Once you see his name announced on a match card, you're like, "Holy shit!"
Yeah, he's awesome.
Yeah, he has the one. Well, yeah,
there's I don't know, man. There's something different to that shit. Like,
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah,
I know what you're talking about because I voted for Ospreay, but I mean, but something about like the match graphic where Dax pops up because I think it's kind of rare. Like you get a singles match from him, so when he does get a singles match, you just stop what you're doing. You're like, holy shit! Like, oh, I gotta make sure I'm sitting down and watching it.
There's definitely a novelty to it. He's they're all great. They all definitely have their own case. It's like Gunther as well. It's like people will be like. The people that vote for Gunther will be like, he's been able to do that in WWE because we all know, like, but how WWE is. Ospreay, I think it's just so hard to argue with Ospreay. Like on paper, do you know what I mean? It's like if you actually like pulled it up, it's like
he's probably the objective choice.
It's like it's alien, it's ridiculous. What he's just outrageous. There's not really much more to say. Okay, let's try to fly through these. We want to try finish in 5-10 minutes, before Raw fully gets going. Women's wrestler of the year: Bianca Belair, Suri, Saya Kamitani, Julia, Jamie Hayter. I think this will be interesting to see who actually comes out on top on this. I don't know. I couldn't give you a favorite on this one, to be honest.
Right.
I think
this will show us the reach of Stardom and Joshi in general this year, right? This will be interesting.
I don't know who I'd vote for either.
Nor do I.
Bianca's had like a John Cena year, bro. Like she just beat everyone, and she's been awesome in some of her matches.
Yeah.
Most of her matches, to be brutally honest, but
doesn't feel right, does it? It doesn't. Bianca Belair is
great.
great.
But I'd be going back to my ignorance is bliss bag if I was to vote for Suri, Julia, or Saya. But if I was to vote for one of the Stardom girls, it'd probably be Suri. So. Then obviously Jamie Hayter, she's had definitely, especially as the years gone on, and now she's world champion,
Yeah.
So, and she's over, Well, all these women are over, so it's tough. It's tough. Manny, have you got a obvious choice for us? Do you remember who you voted for? Did you vote?
Let's move on, guys.
No, we're not doing the women like that, bro. We're not doing that.
I think Jamie and Bianca are the women I'm, obviously most familiar with on this list. and neither of them feel like the right pick to me. Because while Jamie has had a huge year in terms of like being a breakout star on like a big time level, her like output's so kind of up and down because of the way she was used on TV for a lot of the year, right? Like she only got rolling in this second half to me because for a while I felt like Jamie was kind of on the outside looking in, which is not a reflection of her. It's just the way things worked out. So I don't know.
Fun fact, super fun because WrestlePurists is such a huge global platform. There was literally like two people, like two suggestions, whatever you want to call it, between Jamie Hayter getting in on the nominee list and Tony Storm.
Yeah, I think Tony.
I think that's interesting.
I think Tony was stoked.
If you use the mentality that we just talked about with like the overall kind of involvement and the overall package, what they've brought to the industry, I think Bianca Belair's case is a lot stronger then, because the matches, it's there. She hasn't had bad matches by any means.
Yeah, absolutely.
I struggle. Please tell me when I'm wrong here, but the Becky matches, the triple threat of Asuka.
The Becky match is such a feat, though, as well. I think the people that vote for it will say it's like.
What else would you say? I'm intrigued. I'm trying to think. The Bayley match in Saudi, right? Last one standing. That one.
She has some good TV matches with
for sure.
With Sasha or Becky.
She's got some stuff, man. I'm thinking about. Because even in the stuff with Damage Control, there was some good stuff like along the way on TV,
Yeah, no, she had Io's first match on Raw.
Yeah.
Was like, give us a lot of hope that Io was going to fucking hit on the roster. Then she had when she was working through injury and stuff, and it was like, she got a bit shaken. She seems to be getting more comfortable again now. But that first match with Bianca was like really good.
Yeah.
Bianca's been, she's been really good all year. She has. It's just that her peaks aren't as high as I imagine like Suri's are. There's a lot of Suri in the chat, and I think Jamie made a good point earlier when he said that Shuri, Julia, and Saya all being up for it will hamper each other's numbers, especially with like a promotion like Stardom that isn't as like big as WWE and AEW. It's like, say if Shuri was the only female up in the women's rest of the all the Stardom fans would just pile into her, but they've got 3 choices now, so it's tough.
I think Bianca will win actually.
Probably. Yeah, it's tough. But yeah. Definitely, that'll be a close one. Probably one of the closest that we've brought, to be honest. Promotion of the year: AEW, WWE, WWE, Stardom, New Japan, and Impact Wrestling.
A lot of overlap here with our Booker of the Year conversation, right? It's
a lot of it. So we'll keep it really short and sweet. Manny's obviously going with AEW. If you couldn't tell from the past. What about you, Joe?
I'm in the same place. Here's the thing with this, though. This is important. If you take this as like a direct their year in business, it would be hard to vote for AEW with the same confidence. Clearly, that would lean towards Stardom. But I haven't seen those shows, folks, so I can't. So for me, it's like AEW have produced an incredible quality of shows. So on quality, thinking critically, I would pick them. But if you said to me, Joe, what about the commercial part of it? My
business has gone backwards, bro. So it's
right,
tough.
but it depends what you're prioritizing. And
that's not me being a hater, by the way. That's just that is just genuine.
Well, you've been a bit of a hater, but I know what you mean.
Yeah. Steady on, but like ticket sales, even TV numbers, etc. They're not where they are this time last year. So it's hard, whereas Stardom, like we was talking earlier when we was talking about Rossi, the growth from strength to strength, literally like year on year, all the time. They're literally about to end the year with fucking getting Sasha Banks on a per appearance deal, So
I agree.
That's kind of like in itself a reflection of like how Stardom has came along to the point where they can attract a star like Sasha Banks who wants to come and work with their talent, But even though it's a New Japan contract and they're giving her a bunch of money, but it's like that's the talent that she's going to want to work with and want to see, and that's the talent that she's been like. I was going to say flirting with on Twitter, but going back and forth with on Twitter and stuff and hinting at names. I think Miyu Yamashita was the one that she done tweets and stuff with. So
Stardom are probably the right choice. I haven't seen enough.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just is what it is.
Mhm.
Tag team of the year. I think this is going to be a blowout, to be honest. So we've got
Yeah.
FTR, the Usos, Aussie Open, the Acclaimed, and the Young Bucks.
All great
Obviously,
teams, but
yeah,
FTR's yeah.
I think it'll be a blowout, man.
Mm-hmm.
FTR. That's kind of been like. That's just kind of been the perception all year. Like people were saying, like the FDR probably locked this up about 5 months ago, which sounds insane to say, but it's just it kind of just is what it is. And when when you do the double dog collar match the other day as well, it's like fuck, like even the Acclaimed match, bro.
Yeah,
Bro, I love that match. I did.
It was really good.
Good time. Where are you at with Where are you at with it, man?
FTR not even close.
Pop. It's fair, it's fair. Like I said, I think it'll be a blowout, man. I think it's cool that Aussie Open made the list. They did get a lot of people. Yeah, they've been great, man. It's good to see them kind of like get some recognition from our following anyway. Yeah, man. Usos obviously like they've kind of had like by design they've had a great year, and they've been like a big, record breaking, record setting. They've had their highs in ring as well. Like the Street Profits match is probably their highest. When it comes to like consensus, that's probably like their match of the year.
They did some
the
good work,
Street Profits match. The Bucks is an interesting one. I think Bucks just got in honestly, just kind of like on default because it's the Young Bucks. Do you know what I mean? They missed a lot of the. They had some great matches. Obviously, the FTR match.
There's other stuff that we're forgetting.
There's a lot of good matches, but like their peak, it's like 2021 was there. Yeah, do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
they had some stuff.
The triple threat ones they did. The one they had with Swerve and Our Glory and Team Taz was like fucking extraordinary what they put together because that match had their fingerprints all over it.
That's what I mean, man. Like, I think they're just like it's by default. When I say that, it won't even like a dig. Like, I know I do all my bits with the Young Bucks and stuff, but I think they just get in on default because they are legitimately like one of the greatest tag teams of all time, and it's just like you just vote from them. Like it's Young Bucks, man. Like what can you do? But I do think the FTR will probably run away with it. I guess it depends on how big the WWE following comes onto the polls, because the Usos by design have had like record-breaking, historic.
And again, it goes back to what we did with the rest of the year thing. We're about to do. Like, if you could definitely, if you watch WWE especially, mainly, you will be able to talk yourself into an overall package argument for the Usos, perhaps. Not so I would argue, but I get it.
Awesome TV, man. Yeah. Awesome TV. So let's get to it. Final award. We've only gone 5 minutes into Raw. We're good, man. No, you don't want to compete. We've lost a few viewers. Nothing crazy.
Man, this lives forever.
I think we've held people because they know we're finishing soon.
Well, I think people left because they're gonna watch Monday Night Football, not Raw. Just look at the viewership. You're gonna wake up tomorrow. It's gonna be
literally a wrestling podcast. But, whatever. Rest of the year, 2022. This is obviously the overall full package, everything. Whether it's whatever the full package is to you, to be honest. Obviously, that can be subjective from person to person, I guess. Promos, matches, presentation, charisma, star power, even like drawing ability, if you want to throw that in there. Do you know what I mean? Like the overall package. Who do you think is the undisputed best wrestler on the planet for 2022? So we're looking at Jon Moxley, Roman Reigns, Will Ospreay, Seth Rollins, and Dax Harwood.
And I wanted to get you to clearly lock in what we were looking at here. This feels like when you really consider what this award's supposed to represent, it just feels like it has to be Jon Moxley's award, right? Like he's been so significant to the promotion. And this is why I wanted us to really differentiate those two, because again, I did my Dax bit earlier.
Yes,
but in terms of importance, promos, significance, what he represented to the year, he was in many ways the main story of the year in some way or another. He was the guy who was opposite Punk. He was the guy who then rebuilt things. He had the Blackpool Combat Club start. Like he he just feels like the right choice. And I wish I had a more kind of complex, nuanced answer than that. But I think the chat's response kind of captures. It's just it feels like Moxley's award. He's just been incredibly significant in 2022, and it's been the best year of his career. So, yeah.
You think? Yeah, it probably has, hasn't it?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, unquestionably.
Yeah, he just sounded it sounded weird when it first hit the ears, you know. It probably is, man. Yeah, Moxley's been the man, you know. He's been like the ever all reliable in AEW this year, you know, which is funny because ironic, funny, however you want to call it, because he literally he came out of rehab to be AEW's go-to reliable guy.
Yeah, that was January, right? So it's
yeah, literally. He literally strolled out of rehab to be Mr. Reliable, you know, and God bless him, you know. Obviously, it's a great thing that he was able to get himself in the right place and him in the right place. You know, it's funny, Joe. Like a lot of people, you know, it always happens with artists. You know, they're like, I don't know, man. When Mox, he might lose his edge if he gets sober, you know, and all that sort of stuff. Comes back as the year of his career, you know.
Yeah, man. Of course.
He's awesome, man. He's the ace. He's the man. You know, even now, he's ending the year strong as well. There was kind of a weird moment the past month or so. You know what I mean? Like with Mark, so it was just kind of it kind of felt like he's spinning his wheels a bit. You know?
Yeah.
He's like this
Since
Hangman.
He lost the belt, he's got that. Yeah, Hangman feud.
And Hangman feud is just he's brought the heat back, and it's like having these heated brawl segments and stuff of it. I'm sure that'll be a great match. And
he has the high end work with stuff like the Yuta match and the Takeshita match and whatever else you want to pick up. But he also such a consistent rate of matches. I mean, again, at one point I do think they risk kind of overexposing him in ring when he was champ. But that doesn't. When you look at the whole year, it's like he wrestled so consistently at such a high level. He just feels like the right pick.
So, Bree Woo, Double J. I should have been on this list. I'm sure he probably thinks that, to be honest. No.
There should be an award for him somewhere in this, I feel. You know? I don't know what, but...
Yeah. The Jeff Jarrett Award.
I mean, fuck it. Yeah, it works for me.
Weapon shot of the year. And it's just Jeff Jarrett just wins it with the guitar shot every year. You know?
Honestly, the Jeff Jarrett Award being like the best wrestling grift could be fucking... That could be some good shit. Machine Gun would have won that shit easy this year, bro.
We should name our awards like the NBA, how they renamed all their awards.
Actually, fair.
We're all pretty confident on Moxley. Probably probably coming away with rest of the year.
I voted Ospreay.
Oh shit!
Ospreay's the same with the in-ring, man. Ospreay's wrestler of the year case is very in-ring based, you know, but that doesn't dismiss it at all. Because that in-ring run has been insane. So yeah, he's at
Okay, I'm intrigued, Manny. What in Oz? And this is not me saying it's a bad pick because it isn't, but I'm intrigued your thought process on this. What in Ospreay's case puts him across from in-ring to also the Wrestler of the Year award? Because I haven't got an issue with him as well, but I'm just intrigued. Would it be, some of his importance to New Japan? What would be the piece outside of the in-ring?
It's his importance to British wrestling, and then his importance to what he's done for New Japan. And I feel like he's the only reason why people cared about New Japan for a while. Was he's having these matches. We got to go out of your way. And even when he's short month, he was in AEW. Whenever he was on TV, you're like, I have to go out of my way to watch Will Ospreay wrestle. Yeah. So I feel like his importance globally to wrestling is significant compared to Moxley's.
I think that's
domestic, because you feel like globally, Ospreay felt like the most important wrestler because he was out there actually traveling, and Moxley felt more domestic because he was helping the U.S. Indies while helping AEW grow and all that, and also being the pillar to what AEW really needed at the time. And whenever, because I feel like there was a downtime in I think after the Punk stuff and all that, I felt like wrestling was kind of down because you had the Vince stuff and then the Punk stuff. Even I'm not saying that they're the same, but I'm just saying there was a low, and Moxley was that one single light. Everybody was like, "Oh yeah, Mox is like bringing it all together. So it's kind of a weird argument if you want it between both.
I think it's a fair argument. Ospreay has been like the world traveler of the year, to be honest.
His schedule's been nuts.
It's like last year, I thought Kenny Omega was the rest of the year because he was like a world champion, a traveling world champion. Granted, it was kind of like a phony 2021 version of a traveling world champion. It weren't like, the NWA World Heavyweight Champion traveling the world in the 80s and stuff and traveling on different territories. It wasn't that, but it was like the attempt at it. I really respected it.
Yeah. I don't think. No, go ahead, my bad.
Ospreay, not like Manny was pretty much getting that. Ospreay's been like the world traveler of the year, and everywhere he's gone, he's killed it. It's like even like the Nick Wayne match in GCW. Manny brought up the great point of him coming to AEW, got himself over because it's just so good.
That crazy week where he did like the G1 final. He worked London on the weekend and he went back to do Dynamite. Remember that? That crazy. Yeah. I get it, man. Absolutely.
And I don't think Roman is like in this category because I don't think he's having the matches that Moxley and Ospreay is having. And I don't know how much
Roman's had some good matches, and if you pair it with, and if not the elite, he hasn't had an Okada G1 final. He hasn't.
What I'm saying is like he's not having anything on the level of Moxley or Ospreay. I mean,
right. While we're here, because look, if we want to watch Raw, God bless, but I'm genuinely interested. What's Roman's best matches of the year?
I think it's either Claudio or when did the Claudio one happen?
That was last year.
Oh,
this year he has the Logan Paul match. The Brock SummerSlam match, which was crazy.
Probably the Brock SummerSlam match.
What else is there? The Drew match, the trios match at Backlash,
Riddle match on SmackDown.
Yeah, he's got some good ones. Was he
KO at the Rumble?
That was last year, right?
Was it? What did he do this year at the Rumble?
I don't know. Maybe it was that.
That's what I mean. What did he do this year at the Rumble? Was he just not in it? Now that Kevin Owens, Roman Reigns. Yeah, it was the Rumble. Last man standing.
Bro, that can't have been this
year.
No,
it won't. No, it won't. It was last year.
Fuck, man. I ain't lost that much time.
Seth Rollins. That's another one as well. Seth Rollins was actually a good match. And
he also had that six-man tag at First Day or whatever.
That's what I mean. So he has got the work. He does have the work, right? Like he does. Even though he only messages.
Firstly, it wasn't at day one, but you called him day one. First day is fucking awesome. Look, I think his output is too low, but he's, obviously he means an awful lot to wrestling, and he's been the top star.
That's what I mean. That's the thing. At the end of the day, he's the top star. He has an awesome gimmick. Do you know what I mean? It's just like
I get it.
His presentation and his presence and stuff. It's just, that's why he's in this and not best in ring. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like that's the difference between the two awards. Like, obviously Joe's wanting to make sure that our audience understands the difference between the two, so they know when they're voting. Roman Reigns is basically the difference. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It really comes down to how much.
If you look at the nominees, if you swap out Roman for Gunther,
that's it. Yeah,
it's the same list.
It's basically a matter of what is your percentage priority in terms of the award.
Absolutely.
To me, I just don't think there is. I don't think there is a high enough output to vote Roman Reigns. But if you're leaning more on the business side of things, I understand it. I totally get it.
If you want to go that route with Roman, I mean, there's some metrics saying that he doesn't really move house shows either.
I'm sure that stuff's.
What do you mean?
I don't know.
Because there's certain shows where he's advertising tickets don't move as much. Like the famous one is obviously no, the famous. I mean, on TV, but the famous example was when they added him to the Madison Square Garden one. They didn't move any tickets, and then they added John Cena, and then they moved significant tickets. So,
that's Cena. WWE, Roman's house show ticket sales do normally do very good. I'm sure there's been examples of times that Manny just mentioned at the Madison Square Garden. I don't have that information on the hand right now, but Roman. Roman and the Bloodline, just in general, if they ever announce on a house show, they tend to do very well. And WWE's house show business, the second half of this year has been like quite crazy, to be honest.
For sure. It just depends how much you emphasize that opposite the rest of it, you know.
Darren Walker, £5 super chat. In terms of total package, Roman Reigns by a mile, and his drawing ability to AEW business down with tickets and sales and gates too. Like I said, Roman's a big star. Like, he's the biggest star. I think he's like unquestionably like the biggest star. So like he's always gonna at least get conversation in this, debate, because Java in the chat said he does not have the quality to match either. Talking about Moxley and Ospreay, he's like, yeah, he doesn't have the match quality to match them. You know what I mean? I wouldn't say that. You know what I mean? Especially Ospreay. I think Ospreay's on his own planet when it comes to that this year. Yeah. But like he has had like a very good match list, so it's not.
I agree, but I think
you pair that with everything else, and it's like, okay, he's got some sort of case, The
point I think though is, if you're going to be so outgunned in terms of quantity, it would really help if quality-wise you could compete. I think
yeah,
is the issue.
100%.
Because look, again, this is not Roman Reigns doesn't give a shit about the WrestlePurists rest of the year award. So it's not like he's sitting there, sweating bullets about his schedule. His schedule was what it was. It's great that his schedule was that way, and good for him. But when you talk about rest of the year, it's like it's hard. I mean, he wrestled a lot less, and he had good matches, but he didn't have matches on the level of the other guys who wrestled a bunch more. It's just very difficult. I find it hard to vote for him personally, but it depends on what you're prioritizing. It's really that simple.
I wouldn't vote for him. I don't think I'd vote for him, to be honest. My choice would come down to Moxley or Ospreay when I come to making it. He's just making a point of like how Roman made the list. He did not surprise me whatsoever. No. Do you know what I mean?
I get it. Yeah,
that's what I mean. He's the top guy in the business. Or what do you want to do? Seth Rollins. I think good for him. But he's that he's got the fan perception is that he can be nominated for a award like this, because it's like he's lost a lot of matches this year. He
wears cool suits.
Yeah. Obviously, he had the Edge feud was a lot of 2021, I believe. Obviously, he had the Roman match that we just named from Roma. I believe, was there an Edge match in 2021, 2022? I think there might have been.
I think the last one was like November.
Let's have a look. This is going to be the last thing we do is look at Seth Rollins' fucking 2022 match card. No, it is interesting, man, because the Cody feud is obviously, the Cody feud obviously match quality wise was really good, and
yes, absolutely.
Very reliable, and it had moments in the feud as well, So okay, so let's look. The triple threat, with him and Bobby Lashley was very well received. What else we're looking at? Matches with Riddle. Obviously the Cody Rhodes, we've just mentioned the Hell in a Cell, especially. Chad Gable and Otis versus Kevin Owens and Seth Rollins. Yeah, that triple threat tag match. You remember that? Chad Gable and Otis, Kevin Owens and Seth, Randy and Riddle. That was really good. I always find it hard to add like 6-man tags and stuff to someone's like, you know what I mean, like case, because there's 5 other people in it,
yeah, it depends on their performance, I guess. Right?
Yeah. Unless you like absolutely run away, you're the talk of the match, then it's tough for me to count it in that case. This is what I mean. Like
it's just different, bro. Yes, he's had a really good year, but it don't feel the same.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like it's the right. He's not on the same like tier. So even Dax, bro, like we all pop for Dax and stuff, and like especially like personally. It's like even Dax, like you can say, like he's had like an all-time tag team year, like a legacy year in the tag team division. Then like you sprinkling when you start listing off the singles matches, bro, like he's been hooping. Speaking of hooping, that brings the end of our WrestlePurists end of year awards nominees tour, going 20 minutes over. But Manny, just speaking about hoopers, you want to do your hooper of the week?
Oh, yes, we can do that. Last week there was no Hoopers. I didn't think nothing moved me the way the match moved me today. I thought wrestling was dead for a bit until next week's Hooper of the Week. But as of right now, there is no Hooper of the Week. You can post the graphic.
Okay, one second. Drum
It's
roll,
very
please.
unfortunate. Very unfortunate. Yeah, folks.
Bum-ba-da-dum.
Bump it up. The Maniac destroyed the Hooper.
The Maniac.
Yeah, I'm playing off the Zodiac.
The Maniac. Yeah. I thought you were trying to do the Nooper of the week, or it's the no Hooper,
No Hooper, yeah.
But
trying to think
always
who
great
was-
art, Right,
Who
we've
was
got
on
a
Dynamite last week that could have won that? I'm trying to think.
more bad. Maz fan 84 199. Appreciate that. No American 50+ wrestler had a year like Jericho. Probably
Jericho
not.
had a great year. Yeah.
But yeah, but say that no American over 50 had a wrestler. Yeah, like Jericho. Wow, fucking who is that?
Jericho had a great year, man. I mean,
He probably had the best year of someone over 40.
in ring, it was one of the best years of his whole career. In ring, like
Mhm.
his match color was really impressive.
I made a joke on Twitter over the weekend. Was like,
No,
saying that Jericho was snubbed and everything. I kind of I thought those other people better than him, but I really do think Jericho should have been on the list. And people took it seriously. They were just they were real passionate about Jericho should have been on these lists. He should be in these names with Ospreay, Moxley, and all that.
This is the thing, bro. Look, honestly, he wouldn't make my nominee list, I don't think. But I think I could put together a more interesting, compelling case for him than Seth Rollins.
yeah,
And I like Steph. I think even on this stream right now, and I think even with WrestlePurists in general, I'm one of the high guys on Seth Rollins, except for when it comes to Israel. Obviously, as many people well know, Seth Rollins is Israel's guy, but yeah, man, I think Jericho. I think you can put together quite a compelling case for Jericho. You know what I mean? I think it could be quite an interesting conversation.
Oh,
I mean,
man,
I'm currently watching Rhea Ripley versus Tozawa. So
what?
I'm watching real graps.
You're watching what? Say that again.
Rhea Ripley versus Tozawa.
Fuck.
I'm doing
Hold
big
on a
business
second.
right now,
I
bro.
didn't know there's some real shit going on over there.
There's some real shit going on. Oh my god, Rhea's just killed her.
Oh god, damn! Jericho has a 9.52 on Cage Match.
Bro, he's probably got a lot of highly rated matches this year. This is what Joe was saying. He's probably his best in ring of his career.
Yeah, he had the match with Claudio, Ishii. He had the 4-way.
Bandito, Kingston.
He was in Anarchy in the Arena. He was fucking awesome in it. You can't just say he was just there for the ride. He was nuts in that match, dude.
He had the match with Bryan Danielson, the second one.
Yeah.
The match with John Moxley, Wheeler Yuta. He had the 6-man. He had the 6-man tag at Forbidden Door.
This is kind of beast. Can't lie. Sorry, man.
Yeah. Were you watching
on Joe?
Oh.
This is real graps, right?
I have 8 hours of wrestling content to record. Don't worry about it. I can't watch it. Manny, carry on. Finish your argument, pal.
He had the. Oh no, I'm not gonna mention that Santana match. He had that.
Fucking Santana got another strike. It's still one of my favorite worldwide moments ever was when Manny did Ortiz is showing us things that Santana just isn't. And we all just sat here like, bro, you for real right now? He's like, I mean, granted, Santana tore his whole fucking knee off, hasn't been seen since, but still, I got an argument to make here, pal. Let me do it.
An underrated match that I like from this year from Jericho's discography is Ortiz.
This is
good,
beast.
actually. Yeah, the hair match was good.
Tozawa struggling to get up Rhea Ripley.
My God.
And Rhea Ripley, like they do the struggle when they go back and forth with the suplex, And Rhea hit him with the suplex. It was beast. This is good, bro.
Sure is.
This is rare. It's rare you get something with a bit of novelty and stuff on Raw,
Yeah. It sounds like it'd be fun.
Is it true that they called her Mommy Claus?
I don't know. I've not got the sound on because obviously,
You got a wrestling podcast?
Yeah.
Fair.
No, that's what I saw. That's what I saw on Twitter. I said, no way they called her that.
Good Lord, I'm sure that sparked some interesting tweets. I don't think Jamie's idea is fun, but I do not think this podcast should carry on as a Raw watch along because two of us aren't watching Raw, so it feels like it would be. There's sometimes what happens with the post show. To be fair, like we'll be talking, talking business as we do at WrestlePurists headquarters, and Monty will be like, "Oh my god, what a DDT!" in mid conversation.
And plus, I can't give Raw any more viewership. We got to keep them going down.
Do you remember when we did a grin along for Raw when Carl wrestled Finn, Manny, and we had a great time watching that match, and it ended in Manny, and I was sort of like, well, I mean, I guess we could be getting going here.
No, we said we'll keep going until something exciting, like until it gets bad. Then after an hour, we just like, no, guys, it was a fun hour.
Yeah. I mean, we did like 50 minutes. It was good. It was a different time.
Yeah.
All right, Monty. We concluded our business here.
1 minute.
Look how locked in he is.
Tozawa was about to do a big dive, but that he got cut off. Okay, yeah, let's finish up, man.
He's actually wrestling Rhea.
Bro, they're not just like fucking around in the ring. They're having a match, bro. Like, this is what I'm trying to say.
So Tozawa's actually doing moves on her and everything like that?
Yeah, bro. Like, they've done the whole, like, you won't hit me thing. Like, they've done all that. But, like, yeah, he's hitting Ranas and shit, bro. Like, he's out here.
We need to figure out that
real into it as well. Like, even though I've got it on mute, like, you can see it.
See the people.
I think that's more telling. Well, not more telling, but like,
yeah, be careful, man. You sound like yeah.
No, but like I think visually when you see the people come up for something, like,
I get you. Yeah,
but
for a minute, you nearly said the best way to tell a crowd is loud is not to listen to them, but instead watch them, and that was dangerous territory. But I understand what you're saying. Yeah,
absolutely. But like I said, like I was saying, I could tell the crowd was into this, even though I've got it on mute, because they kept getting up and they were like banging on the side and they were doing all.
That's what happens when you have like a real intergender match on TV instead of, where we have a tag match and they all tag out every time a woman comes in or a guy comes in.
Yeah.
What?
Jamie's comment. It's like it just becomes instead of a watch along, it's just me describing to you what's happening.
I've experienced that, so
I'm
sure it could be a thing. But
yeah, that was a fun bit of business. That was, bro. I'm not gonna lie. I'd go out my way to if you told me about that, Joe, I'd go out my way to watch it. If you was like Rhea and Tozawa had a nice 6-minute bit of business on Monday Night Raw.
At what point in our friendship have I said to you, Monty, there was something on Raw that you didn't see and I did see? Check it out.
I don't know, bro. Man. I don't know. I'm sure it is happening at some point.
When are we doing the Rev Pro review? We're only 2 hours in. What are
we? Wait, is that? Can I watch that show anywhere?
Yeah, they streamed it live. I think the stream got fucked up, but it's out there.
Oh,
you gotta watch the Rio Khan match, bro.
I'm not watching that.
I want to.
You gotta see it.
Mavs fan 84 199. Appreciate you. TK Ron Sheila versus Danielson to match this. Oh, God bless. I'm all in. I'm all in.
We need to stream then so I can go watch the proposal.
Well, let's end it then. This has been the WrestlePurists end of the year 2022 nominees show where we've spoke about the nominees. Hopefully, if you haven't voted already, we have helped give you some ideas for your votes and stuff. But please do vote for our WrestlePurist end of year awards because we've put quite a bit of time into it, and I think it's a cool thing. So I'll put the link in the bio. I'm gonna put the link in the bio. It's not there right now, but the link will be in the description shortly. But you can literally simply, I've tested it myself. If you literally just Google search WrestlePurist Awards, it should come up at the top. So
Raj Geary over there.
That was a good one. He knows his SEO, bro.
It's our last show of the year, Monty. Do you have like a grand statement to make before we go here?
Oh no, we'll do something before the end of the year. Maybe this will be the last WrestlePurist worldwide because we probably won't be doing one on Boxing Day. But
that's what I'm contracted for, mate.
Oh no, I'll bring you in for something else. You know.
I have a last statement.
Oh,
Oh god. Oh no.
Everybody, when you're doing your voting, just make sure you vote for the right people and not the wrong people. There's
Right.
certain people on this list, that shouldn't be winning.
winning? Why did you come up on winning? Also, if you want to see these two wonderful fellas at Christmas, they're both on the Late Night Grin Christmas special. Monty makes in fact, Monty, right? If you enjoyed watching, Montel watch Tozawa and Rhea Ripley on the Christmas special, you can watch him watch Wheeler Yuta and Willow Nightingale. So,
What am I watching?
You're watching Terry Funk, Stan Hansen.
Oh,
Real
Real
raps.
Wrestling.
Yeah.
And guys, I usually do movie watch-alongs on my Twitter where I tweet about what I'm watching. I stopped doing the Quentin Tarantino watch-along 2 weeks ago, and I'm restarting with The Proposal with Ryan Reynolds and Sandra Bullock.
Do you have HBO Max?
Yeah, I have HBO
Awesome.
Max.
You need to watch Banshees and live tweet.
Right, what is happening?
What?
Banshees.
Yeah, the Banshees of Inisherin. You need to watch it. I need your thoughts personally.
All right, then
Live
I'm gonna push The Proposal back till midnight, and I will start watching the Banshee.
Yeah.
Sometime in the next hour.
Sweet.
Tape Machines. I'm still waiting for your answer on
Shout out Tape Machines.
Suicide Squad 2 or Joker. Which movie's better? And
You've been waiting for a while on that one, Chief.
yeah, I know. I've been waiting like 5 days.
Follow Manny the Hooper, follow Joe Hulbert, follow Late Night Green, follow WrestlePurists, follow me.
Watch Dumb Guy Live.
Watch. I don't know if we're doing one. Yeah, we are. We are.
Jamie's.
Doing
It.
I've not got the screen up. So yeah, watch Dumb Guy Live. That's a podcast that is happening tomorrow. Yeah, support us. WrestlePurists.com. We appreciate you all, and peace.